in the big leagues.
Let's do this. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Happy Camp Day. NFL training camp, or Colts camp, the only camp that really matters, has started today. Daniel Jones fully cleared out there running around. Jonathan Taylor showed up today to practice, so he is not going to hold out. We know he spoke with the media earlier today, talked about it a little bit, and mentioned that there have been some good conversations. So great to know that he's out there, and then everybody else out there as well. Welcome into the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. We are talking Colts camp all day today. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, you can also watch the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. And, of course, 1430 a.m. if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. Chris went to a concert last night. He said it was terrible.
Wasn't terrible.
Who'd you go see?
Youngblood.
Okay.
Youngblood is a British rock singer from overseas. Spent some time with Ozzy before he passed.
How old is Youngblood? Do we know?
I want to say late 20s, early 30s, somewhere in around
At
there.
what point does he have to change his name to Old Blood?
I don't know. It's a good question. But
I mean,
yeah, it was okay. He had a lot of energy, but yeah, it was okay.
Okay, fair enough. So, a lot of energy at the concert last night, a lot of energy at Colts camp this morning. Shane Steichen spoke to the media after practice. And look, the first day of practice always goes well. It never really fails because everybody's excited to be there. Everyone's glad that they're back out on the field, competing with their teammates. It's always a great time. So, not surprising at all to hear Shane Steichen talk about how great of a practice the Indianapolis Colts had today.
Well, I was really excited. I was really pleased, really, with day one practice. It was really smooth, really no mental errors. It was pretty clean. I thought the guys flew around a lot of plays on both sides of the ball. Having Sauce and Mooney back out there together with the ones, those guys are both making plays on day one, which was awesome to see. Offense made some good plays. JT had some huge runs. Overall, I thought it was really clean.
Really clean practice from the Indianapolis Colts today. And that should be the case. This is year 3 under Coach Steichen. A lot of these players have been around for at least 2 years now. So they have an idea of what's going on. They have an idea of what training camp should look like. They have an idea of what Coach Steichen wants to see from everybody. He didn't mention it there, but I've seen a couple other quotes where he talks about Daniel Jones having a really nice day at practice. And that's good. Doesn't mean anything because it's training camp. But also, honest question here, how can Daniel Jones have a great day when he just said that Sauce Gardner and Javarius Ward were flying around making plays all day? I don't know how those two things connect, but hey, it's fine. So, Colts off to a great start as audio comes out from these press conferences. We will have it for you throughout the show. Anthony Richardson was there today. Good for him. Glad for him in that regard. The hope, though, is that, he gets traded here at some point before the start of the season. I don't think that that's going to happen because Chris Ballard is pretty hard-headed. Listen to this clip from Chris Ballard yesterday talking about the quarterback room and the idea of trading Anthony Richardson.
It is, but I mean, I think they're realistic and we're realistic. We're not just giving him away. Not going to do that. And it's been fun to watch. Like, I think I've told y'all this multiple times. Like, one of the things that gets washed over sometimes with Anthony, like, he is a great teammate. And he's fun to be around, and he has really grown and worked. It's been fun to watch. I mean, especially when you take a guy as high as we took him, you want him to come in and be the savior right away. Well, everybody's developmental plan's different. And, his was a little different. I still think that he has got a future. We'll see how that plays out here.
Chris Ballard yesterday talking about, the Anthony Richardson trade. Anthony Richardson ran with the twos today, according to Mike Chappell. So we'll see if that continues throughout camp, as we know that Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard are battling it out for that quarterback two slot. In that clip, Chris Ballard mentions how the Colts don't just want to give Anthony Richardson away. I understand that, but he is a failed fourth overall pick. Holding on to him right now is like keeping a luxury sports car parked in your driveway with a blown engine. Doesn't matter how much you paid for it off the lot. Nobody's going to pay you brand new sticker price for a frame that won't run. Gardner Minshew looked better in Shane Steichen's offense than Anthony Richardson has. And he's almost out of the league. He's probably going to be the third string quarterback in Arizona. Hard to find a worse situation than that. You're not getting a day two pick for Anthony Richardson. I think that when it comes to the Colts and this constant search to move off of Anthony Richardson, if you get anything better than a 6th-round pick, I would honestly be surprised. But more importantly, Chris Ballard's a pretty hard-headed guy. But at some point, you just have to accept that things didn't go your way and that you got something wrong. It's like sitting at a poker table after a bad flop. You've already put in your chips, but staying in the hand just out of pride is only going to cost you more money. That's all that it's going to do. Okay, nothing is going to happen this year that could greatly raise Anthony Richardson's trade value. And he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year if a team decides to make a trade for him. Okay, they're not doing it with the idea of him playing this year. So they're all probably more than content to wait until Anthony Richardson is a free agent to go try to sign him. Why should they give up an asset if they don't have to? Okay, the fact that Anthony Richardson is in the last year of his deal and he's going to at best be the backup quarterback removes a lot of the leverage that the Colts have this year. And when I say he'll be at best the backup quarterback, wherever he gets traded to, he'll probably be the backup quarterback there. Okay, it removes all of the leverage that the Colts have. It's like trying to sell, a full gallon of milk at full price the day before it expires. Everyone buying knows that if they just wait 24 hours, you're going to have to throw it out anyway. So you got to reduce the price a little bit. I remember when I was broke, I used to walk around like the meat section and look for the stuff that was about to go bad because it was cheaper. Same thing here. Okay, if it was going to be, if they were trying to make this deal last year or 2 years ago, when there's multiple years to be had before he hit the open market, then, they could probably hold firm and get a better offer. That's not the case, though. And I do know that there's a hope that, if Anthony Richardson plays in the preseason and he really shows out, maybe his trade value will increase. Even if he does play well in the preseason, I don't think teams are all of a sudden going to start offering 2nd, 3rd, or 4th-round picks for him. Now, you're getting a day 3 pick, whether you like it or not. And I think that if the Colts get offered an early day 3 pick, so that's round 4 or 5, they should absolutely take it. If Anthony Richardson leaves in free agency, then the Colts will receive a compensatory draft pick. It'll either be a 5th or a 6th-round pick. So if they're offered a 4th or a 5th-round pick, they should accept it and move on. Because at some point, you just have to bite the bullet, move on, because the offers are only going to get worse the closer we get to the end of the year. When you're at the trade deadline and everyone knows that you want to at least get something for him, like those 6th-round offers are going to hold there. Okay, his trade value isn't fine wine, it's a melting ice cube. Okay, yes, you could get a compensatory draft pick if you let him walk in free agency, but is that worth having an unhappy Anthony Richardson on your team all year? I understand that he's a good teammate. I understand that he's taken this whole thing well. I understand that he's going to compete really hard for the backup quarterback spot, but if he ends up being the third guy, what are the chances that he sours a little bit? I think it's just time to admit defeat if you're Chris Ballard and move on. The Anthony Richardson stuff didn't pan out the way that that you wanted him to. I know in the clip he has a future in this league. It's just not going to be here. Move him now before the market dries up. Now, another good teammate on this Colts team is Jonathan Taylor. So Adam Schefter released a report this morning talking about how, Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs had conversations and how they were both going to hold out so that they could get some long-term contracts. So neither one of them practiced today. Meanwhile, Jonathan Taylor, one of the 5 best running backs in football, you could argue he's I think better than everybody not named Bijan Robinson, but we're not to do that right now. He still went out and he still practiced today. This is one of the nice things about having nice guys on your roster. They're a little more willing to do stuff like this. Hey, Chris, there's a guy on X. His name is Dominic Miranda. He's posting a lot of the clips he's posting all of the interviews from media time today at Colts practice. So if you want to try and pull some stuff from him, if you hear anything from there that we need for the show, that'd be good. As I was saying with Jonathan Taylor, he did speak to the media today. He talked about how conversations about a contract extension are going on, and the conversation has been good. So I appreciate him going out and practicing. I'm sure that makes the Colts even more willing to offer him the deal. That's what I would do. Like if guys didn't show up to practice, I would just very simply say, we're not negotiating with you until you show up to practice. This is what the Pittsburgh Steelers used to do. All of a sudden, it's like, if the only way that you'll talk to me is if I'm at practice, then all of a sudden guys start showing up. Okay, I understand that times change and things are different, but in this scenario, I think that this would work. Like if you want your money, then you're going to have to come out here and actually practice a little bit before we start to even negotiate with you. So, really nice day for the quarterbacks as well. Apparently Daniel Jones looked really sharp. He did participate in 11 on 11s today, which is great news. Nothing new. He should be participating, given that he was fully cleared. Apparently he's just placing the football beautifully. What's up, Chris?
I have Daniel Jones sound.
Okay.
If you like.
What's he talking about?
Let's find out.
I think it's just similar to the progression over, the last 6 weeks from minicamp to now. I think, you're doing all the same stuff, but just feeling better doing it, feeling quicker, more explosive. And that's a process, a gradual process. I think being out there, playing football, getting those reps, you get more and more used to it, and it'll come. So, boxes to check. I think it's more like a feel and I think just feeling a gradual improvement.
Okay. Sounds like he's talking about finding a rhythm, getting back into kind of the groove of things after the Achilles injury. And, look, it's his first full practice after, after being, cleared to come out and fully play, which is, that's a good thing. They've got, if you pull up Wish TV News, they've got Jonathan Taylor talking about entering the final year of his deal. If we could grab that audio real quick too, because that is, I think when you look at the potential contract extensions this offseason, like that is the biggest one, because Jonathan Taylor's 27. He's been one of the faces of this franchise for for quite some time. Here is Jonathan Taylor talking about, wanting to be a Colt for life.
Yeah, I have faith. I mean, there have been some good conversations, and I have faith between my agent and front office. Like I said, I've already said I would love to be a Colt for life, so I have faith that things are moving in the right direction.
So things are apparently moving in the right direction. Good conversations are being had. Look, if that wasn't the case, then he wouldn't be out there. The fact that he's out there on the field practicing probably points to the fact that they're going to get an extension done at some point. I think it'd be kind of funny for them to extend him, fire Ballard, and then the next guy shows up and is like, we need to trade Jonathan Taylor. We got to completely reset this whole thing. So, but hey, good for Jonathan Taylor. He's, more than deserving of a contract extension. The question is just going to be, if Ballard gets let go, will they keep Jonathan Taylor here long term? That's the question. But hey, good on Jonathan Taylor fighting for a little bit of security. So it is Wednesday, which means we got to do over the hump day. We had 7 starters on the Indianapolis Colts last year leave in some way, shape, or form during the offseason. Which of those 7 starters that left will the Colts miss the most, and which ones will have a larger impact on them getting over the hump and making the playoffs? I will discuss in 3 minutes.
highlights in today's sports world. It's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Colts camp going on today as we continue to get updates on things that happened at Colts camp earlier. We'll have audio for you throughout the show as well from the different players and coaches' media sessions. But it is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Which means we got to get to Over the Hump Day here on the real Jonathan Smith Show.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's Hump Day.
Woo-hoo! Hump Day!
You know, as a coach, I gotta get us over that hump. I gotta get them comfortable, knowing that you're gonna be in close games and you gotta make plays coming down the home stretch. I mean, in the tournament, we were right there. You know, I just didn't get them over the hump, man, and you know that's something that I live with every day of my life. Because I truly believe that was the team to really make some noise and get to the finals, and I just couldn't get them over the hump.
Good old Mike Woodson and that never-ending struggle of getting over the hump. Colts in the same boat now. Several seasons in a row, they have missed the playoffs, haven't won the AFC South during Chris Ballard's time as the general manager. And in order for the Colts to get over the hump and to get back to the playoffs, they're going to have some new players play well. Michael Pittman Jr., Braden Smith, Zaire Franklin, and more important players from last year are gone. And they've been replaced mainly by younger, less experienced guys. So the Colts had 7 starters on last year's team leave in a variety of ways. Michael Pittman Jr. was traded. Kwity Paye hit free agency. Nick Cross hit free agency. Kenny Moore was waived and is still hanging out at his house because no one's picked him up yet. Braden Smith was allowed to let walk in free agency. Zaire Franklin was traded, and Jermaine Pratt, I don't believe has been signed by anybody yet either. Okay, and all those guys were important for the Indianapolis Colts last year, and they're all gone. They've all been replaced, and I feel better about some of the replacements than others. Okay, the Colts didn't go get a wide receiver to replace Michael Pittman. With Kwity Paye being gone, they're betting on the development of Jalen Tuimoloau. They drafted A.J. Halsey to replace Nick Cross. They let Kenny Moore walk because they have Justin Wally. Apparently, the secondary had a really nice day today. Hunter Wohler apparently getting reps with the first team alongside Cam Bynum. They let Braden Smith walk because they have Jalen Travis. And then Zaire Franklin and Jermaine Pratt were replaced by rookie C.J. Allen and Akeem Davis Gaither. Which of those replacements is going to make us regret letting the previous guy go? When I ask that question, I think most people would say the answer is Michael Pittman because the Colts didn't go out and get a clear replacement. Yes, they brought in Nick Westbrook-Akina. They drafted Deion Burks. Neither one of those guys are a direct replacement for Michael Pittman. I mean, if you're relying on a 7th-round pick to be the guy that, replaces previously your best wide receiver, not great. Ashton Dullin's probably going to be the guy. He's been around the longest, and when he's been given chances, he's delivered. He apparently had a nice day at practice today. He and Daniel Jones continue to operate on the same page, which isn't a surprise because when the Colts have called on Ashton Dulin, he is delivered. Just go back to last year. A.D. Mitchell ends up in the doghouse. Ashton Dulin plays well enough that the Colts feel like they can then trade A.D. Mitchell. Okay, so while I do think Michael Pittman will be missed, I do think that the Colts will be fine without him. Replacing Pittman, those Pittman targets with Tyler Warren and Josh Downs, that's, I think that's something that they can do. It's like asking 2 reliable sedans to pull the trailer that your heavy-duty truck used to haul. Okay, Tyler Warren and Josh Downs can both handle the workload that Michael Pittman's leaving behind. If Alec Pierce comes back as another guy who, can't do much other than stretch the field, I still think that Warren and Downs will be fine. But if Alec Pierce does come back as a guy who can do a little more than that, then the Colts will definitely be fine without Michael Pittman. So I think, and this feels so weird to say, and I hate that I'm saying it, I think Kwity Paye is a much bigger loss than any of the others. I think Jalen Travis, A.J. Halsey / Hunter Wohler, who, again, he got reps with the ones today playing alongside Cam Bynum at safety, and Justin Wally will do just fine, replacing Braden Smith, Nick Cross, and Kenny Moore. C.J. Allen and Akeem Davis-Gaither, I think, are more than capable of replacing mediocre at best linebackers Zaire Franklin and Jermaine Pratt. Most of these swaps feel like trading in your trusty iPhone for the newest model. Different feel, but the performance is going to be just fine. Maybe better in some scenarios. Braden Smith was getting older. I know he was a good player. But with Coach Sperano Jr., I think you can trust that Jalen Travis is going to be ready to be the week 1 starter for the Colts this season. You're not really losing some great leader either. Quentin Nelson is the leader in that offensive line room, and he should be. He's their best offensive lineman. A.J. Halsey and Justin Wally are 2 former third-round picks, replacing an undrafted free agent, Zaire Franklin, and another former third-round pick in Nick Cross. The talent's going to be there. The concern is A.J. Halsey is a rookie. Also, again, could end up being Hunter Wohler based on what we saw today at training camp. And Justin Wally has also logged 0 NFL snaps. Okay, he was also originally supposed to be an outside corner before he got hurt, and the Colts brought in Sauce Gardner. So it's somewhat risky to bet on guys with no experience, but they're both top 100 picks. They're going to be part of your core at some point, whether you like it or not. That's what you expect of guys that you take in the top 100. And so I think this is a good time to transition, considering that Nick Cross and Kenny Moore weren't guys that Lou Anarumo necessarily wanted because they showed up before he got here, whereas Halsey and Wally both have that Lou Anarumo stamp of approval. The one thing with Zaire Franklin leaving is the Colts might miss the leadership aspect with him. He was a guy that when Anthony Richardson showed up, they're like, pay attention to Zaire Franklin, because they deemed him as one of the leaders of the team. Me personally, I don't think that'll be a problem. Zaire Franklin's leadership resulted in nothing but disappointing seasons where the Colts were at home when the playoffs started. The Colts defense could probably use a new voice to lead them, given the lackluster results that they continued to produce when Zaire Franklin was, at the head of the defense. The real problem is Jalen Tuimoloau and Arden Key, who took most of the reps with the ones today over Tuimoloau. I think that they're going to struggle to replace Kwity Paye, which is a terrifying statement to make because it's not like Kwity Paye was some outstanding, incredible football player when he was playing for the Colts. Okay, he was just a solid edge rusher. Like, if the Colts are going to struggle to replace 8.5 sacks and good run defense, then they're in trouble. It's the reality of it. If you can't replace that, good luck. Okay, the biggest position battle at Colts camp is the edge battle for a reason. By the end of the year, we may be watching Kwity Paye highlights while we eat nachos and pizza because we just miss him. It'll be less about how good he is and more about how his replacements potentially are going to struggle. Like, I'm not expecting a big year out of Tuimoloau or Arden Key. Now, is there room for it to happen? Sure. Like, Tuimoloau is a former second-round pick. To be fair, he didn't really play last year, but, hey, that's fine. Arden Key is a career rotational pass rusher. Okay, he was the Tyquan Lewis of the Tennessee Titans, so to speak. And to be fair, you're not a rotational pass rusher if you don't possess the ability to get after the passer. The problem is I think you just need a little bit more than that to replace a guy like Kwity Paye. You need more than that to get over the hump and make the playoffs. I'm aware that Kwity Paye wasn't some great player, but he was good enough to play on every down if he needed to, and have multiple years with around 8 sacks, 8 or 8.5. Like, that's pretty decent production from an edge rusher. Okay, there's a reason why the Raiders went out and paid for him. Now, to be fair to the Colts, like he did only have 4 sacks last year, so that's not hard to replace. But then again, the Colts weren't a playoff team last year. Okay, if the Colts made a trade at any point during the season, I think it would be for an edge rusher because it is still so clearly their biggest position of need. Like, I say this somewhat jokingly. Like, if the Raiders offered Kwity Paye to the Colts right now, I think Chris Ballard and company would be like, maybe we bring him back. I don't know. It's a pretty dire spot on this Colts roster. If they want to be a playoff team, they're likely going to have to make a move at that spot because I don't think that Jalen Tuimoloau, after one season of not really playing and one offseason where, to his credit, he did slim down a little bit, I don't think he's all of a sudden going to come back as, a guy who can finish top 25 in the NFL in sacks and be a good run defender. Arden Key, like, there's a reason why he was a rotational pass rusher for a bad Titans team. There's a reason why he wasn't an every down guy. Maybe he struggles to set the edge. I don't know. Okay? But they're not good enough, I think, to get the Colts over this playoff-sized hump. Okay, the only thing that I think is going to be able to get them over this playoff appearance hump is to make a trade to improve their edge room. Because even when you look at the free agents, even if Jadeveon Clowney was to come in and be the starting edge opposite of Latu, I mean, you're not, like, jumping for joy over that. There isn't a free agent edge rusher good enough to come in here and elevate this team. Okay? So we'll see. But I'm the fact that Arden Key is getting reps with the first team over Jalen Tuimoloau is not a good sign for the former Chris Ballard second-round pick out of Ohio State. John Buzzard chiming in on X, saying, not sure if either of you utilized a slump buster in college, but if Over the Hump Wednesday had a hump buster for the Colts, it's easily Daniel Jones. To break a decade of mediocre, Jones is the hump buster. I'm assuming you're saying that, like, if anyone's going to be the hump buster, it'll be Daniel Jones carrying this team over the hump. That's an idea. He would have to be as good as he was last year. And I just, coming off of an Achilles injury, I just really struggle to think that he's going to be as good as he was last year, especially when we saw that the more he played, the deeper we got into the season, the more he struggled. And so at some point, like, he's got to do it for a full season. And we've only really seen him do that once. And to his credit, or to the credit of the Colts, that situation looked decently similar to what we have here in Indianapolis, right? He had Saquon Barkley. He was the real engine of the offense. Jonathan Taylor is going to be the real engine of the offense this year. You could argue that the receivers here are better than the receivers that he had in New York that one playoff season. You could argue that Shane Steichen is a better coach than Brian Dable was during his time in New York. So there are certain things about the scenario and the situation that are better. The question is, like, what is he going to look like coming off of the Achilles? And I know that he had a nice day-to-day, which is really saying something when you don't have your best wide receiver in Alec Pierce and you're playing against the secondary that's got Cam Bynum, Sauce Gardner, and Charvarius Ward. So to find success in 11-on-11 against that secondary, like, that is a great sign for things to come with Daniel Jones. The question is going to be, how does he hold up when he's actually pressured and he's actually allowed to get hit? Is he going to panic? Because mentally he'll be fine. Like, he clearly understands the Shane Steichen offensive system. He understands the reads. He understands how to read the defense. He's not going to hold on to the ball too long and hope and pray for a big play. I thought that was one of the things that Anthony Richardson struggled with when he played. But when he's actually allowed to get hit and he's not in the red "Don't touch me" jersey, will he be more likely to panic because he tore his Achilles last year? Because I think a lot of people, when they think about recovery and rehab and being 100%, like, yes, like there's the physical aspect of that, but there's also the mental aspect of it where you're just terrified of, like, geez, man, like, when I'm trying to think. I think he tore it stepping up in the pocket. If I remember correctly, I need to go back and look at the video. But, like, is he going to be, like, nervous to climb the pocket and, like, really push off of that back foot as he does it? Those are the things that we don't know yet. And hopefully he's fine. Hopefully he's mentally tough and he can just willingly, kind of move off of that and not be bothered by it anymore. But there's just, I think, a lot of questions for us to answer before we label Daniel Jones the Hump Buster, which is a great name, by the way. Love it. Chris, what do you think of the idea of Daniel Jones being the Colts Hump Buster?
Yeah, I like it. I agree with that. Yeah, but I think he will be hesitant or scared, like you're afraid of, if he goes out and is already injured, like he was when he tore his Achilles, because he already had a leg injury in the other leg. So if he is not feeling 100% and you expect him to go up into the pocket, I see him being hesitant a little bit. With good reason, though.
Yeah, for sure. It's a mental thing, and guys do get over it at some point. The question is just going to be, like, when does that happen? Would be great if it happens immediately, but we'll see. Again, sounds like he had a nice day today, and we'll see how it goes from there. So, Daniel Jones, nice day at practice. Jonathan Taylor at practice, two great signs. Shane Steichen talked about Daniel Jones doing 11 on 11 work. We'll have that audio for you in 3 minutes.
one day be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
It is Wednesday. The Indianapolis Colts started training camp today. We're going to have Zach Hicks on the show here in about 20 minutes. We will talk about day one of Colts camp and some of the things that we're kind of hoping to see throughout, the preseason and all that other good stuff. So here, Shane Steichen spoke to the media earlier today, talked about Daniel Jones playing in 11 on 11.
Yeah, I think it means a lot to our group and our guys, and I thought we're going to see the hard work that he's put in to be where he's at right now, doing full team reps, 8 months, whatever it is, post-op from his surgery. It's a credit to him and the work that he's put in to be able to be out here to start training camp. It's pretty impressive.
It is really impressive from Daniel Jones to have rehabbed that well, that quickly, and to be able to come out 8 months after tearing your freaking Achilles and be able to be full go at practice, play in 11 on 11, and play pretty well. And whenever you are the face of a franchise, the face of a company, you are then unequivocally the leader, whether you want to be or not. Daniel Jones, whether he wants to be or not, he is the face of the Indianapolis Colts because the face of every team is the starting quarterback, no matter how good or bad you are. So, like, if, the face of your team is Jacoby Brissett, like he is in Arizona, probably not very good. But anyway, so you have to set precedent. You have the largest impact on the culture of your team when you are the best player or the most important player in this scenario, the quarterback. And to be able to come back after 8 months, I think this is a very important step in the right direction for the Colts in terms of they have a guy at the forefront of their franchise who clearly works incredibly hard and is willing to do anything to get back onto the field. I think we played it yesterday, the clip of Bernard Ryman talking about how Daniel Jones stayed here for his rehab. He didn't go off to New York. He didn't go see his own doctor. He didn't do any of that. He stayed here through the entire offseason and worked his butt off to be able to play. And that is, maybe I'm giving him too much credit for this, but when you're a multi-millionaire and you're in the offseason and you don't have to go to work for a couple of months, I personally would rather rehab in, like, Cancun or something. And so the fact that he stayed here to work through, a terrible injury, I do think speaks to him and his competitiveness and his desire to play. With that being said, the Colts only gave him a 2-year extension that would not be hard to cut at the end of this year if they needed to. So he is still fighting and working for his long-term career in the NFL. But, again, the fact that he was able to come back in 8 months is pretty incredible. And it looks like he's going to be geared up and ready to go for week one. Hopefully Alec Pierce and Grover Stewart are ready for that as well. But we also have a quarterback battle going on for the quarterback number 2 slot. Anthony Richardson. All good. Anthony Richardson took the majority of the reps with the 2s today. Here is Shane Steichen talking about how they'll kind of balance out reps for this quarterback 2 battle.
Yeah, those guys will rotate. I'm really pleased with where AR's at, coming off the eye injury, in the spring and then going into training camp. And Riley, too, making good strides as well. So those guys will rotate. Those guys will compete. And I'm looking forward to that competition.
So they are going to rotate and split reps. Shane Steichen right there talking about, this quarterback 2 battle and how they plan on splitting reps between Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard. Chris, we missed a buzzer. Buzzard pointed out in the chat, he said no bell for Daniel Jones stepping into the pocket as a slump buster. It's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Good call.
To be fair, that's like a slight one, though. Some of them get underneath our nose,
Right.
Oh, man. So They are going to split reps. I don't think it means anything that Daniel Jones got the quarterback two reps today in terms of him going first in that regard. And it honestly makes sense. It's his 4th year in the league. Probably has a better feel than Riley Leonard does going into year 2 of what Coach Steichen wants on the first day of practice. So it may just be a thing where they want to put each guy in a spot where they can succeed at the start. And Richardson going into year 4 here should know exactly what Steichen is looking for and expects on day 1, whereas with Riley Leonard going into year 2, maybe not quite as ready for that. So I'm excited to see what Riley Leonard looks like because, during minicamp, Coach Steichen was very complimentary of Riley Leonard and all the work that he put in during the offseason. So we'll see how he looks. We'll see. I don't think it's going to matter. I think we're kind of at a point with the Colts where it's if Daniel Jones plays, then, there's a chance for them to be a playoff team. But if he gets hurt and it's Riley Leonard or Anthony Richardson or Easton Stick or producer Chris having to go out there and take snaps, season's probably over. It's just kind of how it is. Chris, if you had to go out there and play quarterback for the Colts right now, how do you think you would do?
Horribly.
Give me a stat line. Could you complete a pass?
Yeah, I'd probably go 2 for 16.
Nice. Couple of checkdowns.
24 yards.
Yeah. It's like, where's Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah.
It's like you come back to the huddle, and the receivers are like, why are you only throwing the ball to Jonathan Taylor? It's like, better question, why would I not throw the football to Jonathan Taylor?
Correct.
He's our best offensive player.
I'd probably drop back 20 yards to make sure I don't get hit, too, because I'm not trying to.
Yeah, but then you got to throw it 20 yards further.
This is true.
That's the problem. That's the problem with that.
Yep.
So yeah. But so that is how the backup quarterback battle is going. We'll have Zach Hicks on the show again coming up here at 1:00 to talk about all of the position battles, including who is the Colts' third wide receiver going to be. So I think that the biggest position battle going on in camp is between Arden Key and Jalen Tuimoloau. The wide receiver 3 battle, I think, is, the second biggest thing happening at Colts camp in terms of position battles. Are the Colts going to be able to find a guy that they like enough to give the position to, or are they going to have to go into free agency and see if a guy like Keenan Allen or Stephon Diggs is actually what they need to have a successful offense this year? Okay, which, for that, that'd be like, calling in a high-price handyman because you don't trust the tools in your own garage if they were to go out and get Keenan Allen or Stephon Diggs. I think that they're going to find a guy in camp. I think Ashton Dulin is going to separate himself from everyone else during training camp. We've already seen a bit of it today. Apparently, he has quickly become one of the preferred targets for Daniel Jones. Okay, he's also a guy that you can just use in so many different ways, and the familiarity he has with the coaching staff is a big advantage. The fact that he was able to take reps with Daniel Jones last year is a big advantage. Also, going with him opens up a roster spot because you can use one spot on your third string receiver and one of your gunners. Okay, he's, a Swiss Army knife. That can be your wide receiver 3 and also one of the best gunners in football, all rolled up into one package. Nice. The problem is we haven't seen him get consistent reps at wide receiver. Meanwhile, when you look at a guy like Nick Westbrook-Akina, he has a couple of decent NFL seasons. His best year came a couple years ago with the Tennessee Titans, where he had 60 receptions for 500 yards and 9 touchdowns. For reference, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, and Tyler Warren have never had a season with 9 touchdown receptions. Now, that is an outlier year for Nick Westbrook-Akina. If he earned the wide receiver 3 spot, I would not expect him to post 9 touchdowns. But it shows what he might be capable of in the red zone if the Colts feel like they need to add a red zone threat to this arsenal of pass catchers. Now, given what we've seen from Ashton Dulin in the past, I don't know if he's going to be some big, dominant red zone threat, but you would also think he doesn't need to be. You would think that the 6'6" tight end and former number 14 overall pick, Tyler Warren would be able to be the Colts' dominant red zone threat this year. We'll see if that happens or not. Now, the problems that I run into with Westbrook-Ikhine, who I think is going to be Ashton Doolin's biggest competition for this wide receiver 3 spot, is he barely played on a bad Dolphins team last year that lost Tyreek Hill. He was at best the third option on bad Titans teams throughout the start of his career. Coaches tell you what they think about players. You know, snap counts are like a player's credit score. They tell you how much coaches actually trust you. Okay? On bad teams, coaches thought Westbrook-Ikhine wasn't good enough to consistently play. Now, the thing that I do like about Westbrook-Ikhine, and part of why he had that 9 touchdown reception season earlier in his career, is he's 6'2", 210 pounds. He's a good blocking receiver as well. Okay, physical, big catch radius, right? All those things. Here's the thing, though. Ashton Doolin's the exact same size. He's also a gunner, so I'm sure he possesses the physicality required to run block like Westbrook-Ikhine. He also has the frame that he could probably be a pretty good target in the red zone at his size, and he can also flat out fly. That is why I prefer Ashton Doolin, because of the speed he brings to the table at the same size as Westbrook-Ikhine. Okay, last year, we also saw the Colts go with him over A.D. Mitchell after A.D. Mitchell fumbled the football into the end zone against the Rams. The Colts think that Ashton Doolin is a reliable football player. Now, the third guy competing for this wide receiver 3 spot is Deion Burks. He's the speed demon out of Oklahoma. He can really run, and he has a lot of explosiveness in his game. He's going to be in the mix to return kicks and punts for the Indianapolis Colts this year. I don't know about that wide receiver 3 spot, though. Like, the Colts are already going to have one small guy out there in Josh Downs. Do the Colts really want 2 receivers on the field at the same time that stand shorter than 5'10"? I wouldn't think so, especially when Ashton Doolin brings a similar level of explosiveness when he plays. Like it's common sense. Picking between 2 receivers that are both explosive and can really run is like, you know, choosing a truck. If all is equal, you want to take the one with more ground clearance and towing history. If you have 2 guys who are similar, then you take the guy who's 4 inches taller and who's been around longer, and that you know that you can trust. That is what Ashton Doolin is for these guys. So yes, like there is undoubtedly a possibility that, you know, the Colts decide to go out in free agency and sign a Keenan Allen or Stephon Diggs or someone else like that, right? But I don't think that they're going to have to. I think that the answer is already on the roster. Save that money. Go get someone else. Okay, go get an edge rusher to add some depth. Go get another player in the secondary if you feel like you need that. Okay, by the end of camp, I don't think that the Colts are going to feel the need to sign Keenan Allen or Stephon Diggs, because I think Ashton Doolin's he's just a gamer, and there's reps to be won, and I think he's going to win all of them. He's got the size you want. He has the physicality that I think that the Colts want. He has the speed that I think that the Colts want. Like, I think he's the guy. We'll see how the Colts feel about it as training camp progresses. Okay. Zach Hicks of Locked On Colts is set to join the show coming up here in about 6 minutes or so. We'll talk Colts camp, all of the things that happened today. And, can't wait. Zach Hicks, always good when he joins the show. But first, Chris has your sports update.
Thanks, Jonathan. Here's what's trending this hour. The Colts took the field at 10 a.m. this morning in Westfield for their first open practice at training camp. We'll be talking about it all day. Here's what Shane Steichen had to say about opening day.
Well, I was really excited. I was really pleased, really, with day one practice. It was really smooth. Really no mental errors. You know, it was pretty clean. I thought the guys flew around a lot of plays on both sides of the ball. You know, having Sauce and Mooney back out there together with the ones, those guys are both making plays on day one, which was awesome to see. Offense made some good plays. JT had some huge runs. Overall, I thought it was really clean.
All eyes were on Daniel Jones, who took the first team reps and looked fully recovered from his torn Achilles. Anthony Richardson also participated, while his active trade request lingers in the background. The Indiana Fever swept the season series with a win over the Storm last night in Seattle, 105-95. The Fever set an all-time WNBA record for most 100-point-plus games in a single season. So good for them. Caitlin Clark had 32 points, 7 assists. Kelsey Mitchell had 28 points. And all-star center Aaliyah Boston left the game in the second quarter due to a knee injury and did not return. Her status is currently being evaluated. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show, and Zach Hitch joins in 4 minutes on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430.
Hall of Fame and Museum presented by Dinsmore. Celebrating greatness, preserving history, providing inspiration.
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indie Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app.
The Real Jonathan Smith Show, hour number 2, getting underway in one of the best ways possible. We got from Locked On Colts, Zach Hicks, joining the show. There we go. Let me hit the right button. Zach, what's going on, man? How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Ready for training camp, ready for a new season of Colts football. Pretty excited for it.
Can you try that again? What is going on here? I don't think you're coming out over the air. We can hear you
now
through
can you
our
hear me?
computer, though. That might be an us thing.
It said the host unmuted your mic. It just said that.
I don't know. This is weird. We didn't have this problem the other day. Here, we're gonna call you. That'll just be easier, and then we'll figure this out for the future. If that's cool. All right.
Cool.
We'll get Zach Hicks on the line here in a second. That's weird how this is working, but it's not coming through the PC. That's not normal. Do you have Zach's number already, Chris, or do I need to send it to you? Okay. All right. I'm sending that over to you right now. Okay. So we'll have him on. We'll talk through Colts camp and those things, and it'll be great, as it always is whenever Zach joins the show. Chris and I were talking during the break. We'll ask Zach this whenever he pops on. With Michael Pittman Jr. no longer being a part of without Michael Pittman Jr. being on this Colts team, who's going to start all the fights at Colts camp? He was kind of the go-to guy for a scuffle if there was ever going to be one. So if I remember correctly, there wasn't one at Colts camp last year, as we get Zach Hicks joining the show via the phone now. Sorry about that, Zach. How are you doing, man?
Well, I was doing well until now.
Okay.
Just ruined. No, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So Chris and I were just talking about this during the break. With Michael Pittman Jr. being gone, which Colts player do you think is most likely to start a fight during camp this year?
I think Jake and I actually answered this on a show recently, or maybe I just answered it on a show recently. I don't know, man, because after Michael Pittman Jr., you would say the next closest guy would be Zaire Franklin, right? In the last couple years, but he's also no longer here. So who is that fiery personality that would really get after it? Maybe AJ Halsey, but he's a rookie, so it's would a rookie really go out of his way to start a fight in his first training camp? That's the big question I have there. But after that, I'm not sure who would start. I mean, Quentin Nelson defending his player getting hit late or something, but it wouldn't really be him starting it. He'd be finishing the fight basically.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't really know if they have. Maybe Sauce. Sauce talks a little bit out there, so maybe Sauce, but I don't really see too many big personalities like that right now that would get super fiery like Michael Pittman Jr. or Zaire Franklin would. Those guys would get into it. I think they fought each other a couple times.
Yeah, that happened 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So they would get after it in these training camp practices, for better or for worse. But I don't know if they really have that type of personality right now outside of maybe Sauce I could see, or I don't know, because even the other vocal guys like Cameron Bynum's a very vocal guy, but it's not that kind of vocal, he's not going to start a fight. I don't think so. We'll see. I'm sure we'll all be shocked when we hear it's some random dude at the bottom of the roster who got into a fight. But we got to see who takes up that mantle here this offseason.
Yeah, I think Sauce is a good call. Arden Key doesn't seem to have that personality. I'm trying to think of the new guys. Probably Sauce. That's probably right. Joined by Zach Hicks from Locked On Colts. So just reading through all of the news from training camp, I think the most surprising thing that I saw was Hunter Wohler getting first-team snaps at safety over A.J. Halsey. Did you see that, and what do you kind of make of that?
Yeah, I mean it's a little surprising, I guess, to a degree because Halsey was, a top 100 selection, and you typically want to see those guys in there, especially when Wohler. It's not like Wohler is some like long-term veteran, right? He's a guy who would have been a rookie last year if it weren't for his injury. So I think part of this is just how high they value a player like Hunter Wohler. For better or for worse, if that's good or bad right now with this team. But also, I think part of it is just we do see this a lot with teams where they do slow play rookies a little bit. So who knows, like, how many snaps CJ Allen be getting right now? Like, I'm assuming he would be just because there's not much competition there. But if they're already high on Wohler and Wohler already went through this process last year, then getting it to Wohler early and often does make some sense. And then you work in AJ Halsey after that. So we'll see what it looks like in a couple weeks from now. I'm not too surprised early in training camp, but it is something to keep an eye on that maybe this is more of like a real competition than expected. I still think the better option for this team going forward is Halsey starting this year and Wohler being more of a, like a dime linebacker and reserve guy. But we'll see if they want to give Wohler more of the run early and then kind of bring Halsey on as more of a third down safety or something like that. So something to monitor. Not terribly surprising right now, but if it continues into like a month from now, then it could be a really real thing that Hunter Wohler is starting over AJ Halsey.
That would be, I don't know how Colts fans would react to that because he did have such a good camp last year. Even though I feel like of all the guys who got hurt last year, Hunter Wohler's kind of the guy who's been forgotten more than everybody else. You mentioned him as maybe like as potentially playing like dime linebacker. So whenever new linebackers come into the NFL, I think we correctly talk a lot about their ability to like play downhill and tackle and stop the run. CJ Allen, I think, is a much better athlete than Zaire Franklin was. I think part of why they wanted to move off Franklin was in coverage. It was underwhelming, I think, to say the least. How do you think CJ Allen is going to fare in coverage this year for the Colts?
Yeah, I think there's two mindsets with it. One is like, yeah, he wasn't like this great productive coverage guy in college, right? Like he wasn't like Carson Schwetzinger or any of those type of guys, or even Jacob Rodriguez, right, who was drafted ahead of him in this past draft in terms of like racking up interceptions and pass breakups. But if you look at what he had to do in Georgia's defense, he had a lot of responsibilities, even in coverage as well, in terms of where he had to be with his zones, where he had to be moving with quarterbacks, and I do think that he was given a lot of responsibilities. And I don't think he was perfect in that regard. There were certainly some areas to be better, but I do think he performed fairly well in those responsibilities. So I expect pretty good things out of him in coverage. Like, I don't know if he's ever going to be, again, like a Fred Warner type that just racks up all the turnovers and stuff. But really, when it comes to being a coverage linebacker in the NFL, can you just get to your hook zones? Can you make sure you're getting eyes back on the quarterback? And can you not be manipulated and moved out of your zone by quarterbacks moving you with their eyes? So I think he can do all of those at a fairly high level. So maybe the counting stats wouldn't be perfect for him, but honestly, as long as he can keep things in front of him, come up and make tackles and get offenses off the field, that's all I really need out of him. And especially like if they're going to go on these like third down packages, if they want to go three safety sets and maybe they lean towards more of like a Bryce Betcher, who's more of a coverage oriented linebacker, to be the one linebacker on the field in those situations. You really just need Allen for those early down things, being more of a guy who can read play action and understands how to get back into his drops off of play action, and sitting at the sticks on some of those second down throws. So, you don't really need him to do a ton. And I think what you need him to do, I think he can perform fairly well in that role. So while it might not be like Jahad Campbell or Fred Warner, I think it can be an upgrade at the linebacker position where Franklin certainly struggled in coverage last couple of years.
Absolutely. Joined by Zach Hicks of Locked On Colts, talking about Colts camp and this upcoming season. So there are 7 guys that were starters for the Colts last year that left in the offseason in some way, shape, or form. Which one of those guys do you think we're going to miss the most this year? Because whoever their replacement is maybe doesn't live up to what the Colts need them to be.
Yeah, that's tough because it's hard to say like Kwity Paye, for instance, right? Where he had his worst year as a pro last year, right? Like fewest sack total, The pressure rate just wasn't that great, but he certainly got like, I don't want to say like the worst replacement because Arden Key is a perfectly fine player, but he's not a starting caliber player, where Kwity Paye is more of like a low end caliber star defender who can finish some sacks in the backfield. So I don't want to say you're going to like miss Kwity Paye the most. It's just more so like you're going to feel the pain of the other side defensive end from Leatu Latu, but they kind of felt that last year even with Kwity Paye. So I guess to fully answer your question, the safest answer would probably be Nick Cross at strong safety, and not because I'm low on Wooler or AJ Halsey. I think Cross just gave a really nice baseline at that strong safety position. Like, even though there were some issues in coverage, overall, you know that you're going to get a player who is a really good run defender, who can fit well in the box and play pretty well in the box too, and be a bit of a chess piece for what Lou Anarumo wants to run. So I think that he was like a really rock solid strong safety for the Colts last year. Whereas when you're looking at Halsey and Wooler, I think they have the potential to be better than him. But those guys are still very young players. They still have to get adjusted to this scheme, and they still have to show it on Sundays as well. So I think that one has the most potential to be the most painful. Outside of that, though, I just don't see too many of the moves they made to lose starters to really hurt them. Like, you know, I haven't been very secretive about my like of the moving on from Michael Pittman Jr. I think that was a great move for the Colts, and I don't think that's going to hurt them very much. The move at right tackle might hurt them a little, but I think Jalen Travis, you know, especially if he can be healthy for 17 weeks, I think can be an upgrade over what Braden Smith gave them last year. So I think a lot of the moves they made were the right moves. I think just maybe, again, like the Cross or Kwity Paye, like just who they are replacing them with could come back to bite them a little bit here this next season.
Yeah, my answer to the question was Kwity Paye, just because, like you said, Arden Key has been like a rotational pass rusher. Tuimoloau didn't really play much last year. So the Nick Cross thing is interesting, though, just because of the youth at that position. Like you said, like there is potential for it to get better, but like playing safety in the NFL is really hard. So it could most definitely get worse, too. Because, I mean, when Nick Cross showed up, it took him 2 years before he kind of found a rhythm.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I was actually just about to say that too. Was like with Cross, we were all so excited, top 100 pick, that the Colts liked him so much. Remember, they traded up to get him in that draft, and he was a starter throughout camp, throughout the first week of the season, and he kind of got benched because he just wasn't ready for the moment. And Rodney McLeod had to step in and hold down the fort for that season. And then it took Cross. Yeah, it took him like 2 years to really find his place in the league. And he became a pretty solid player by the end of it, but it does take some time. Now, I'm not saying that Cross and Halsey are the exact same, or even Cross and Wooler are the same, because Cross, I think, coming out of college was like freshly turned 20. He was super young. And I want to say Halsey is like 23. Wooler's like 24. Wooler's almost the same age as Cross is now. So, you know, he's expected to be more ready than I think Cross was coming out. So it is a bit of a different situation, but you still don't want to put every single thing on a young player, because sometimes young players need a little bit of time, even if they are a little bit older or prospects. So yeah, that could come back to bite them. I like the bet on those players, but it certainly could come back to bite them by the end of the season.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like about the Halsey pick, again, joined by Zach Hicks from Locked on Colts. You can find him on YouTube as well if you just search for Zach Hicks. One of the things that I like about Halsey, that I think will give him a chance to be good from the jump, is like, this is a guy who transferred multiple times in college. So like learning a new system over the course of one offseason isn't some like foreign thing to him. So I'm hoping that kind of leads to him picking up on things a little bit quicker during his time with the Colts. Okay, Zach, I've made a mistake. We're 15 minutes into this. We haven't talked about Daniel Jones yet. So let's get to that. The fact that he apparently had a really nice day today, I think is a great sign, not only because he's fresh off of an Achilles injury, but he's practicing against this, what we think should be pretty elite secondary, without his best wide receiver. And apparently he looked pretty good today. What do you kind of make of the reports on that?
Yeah, no, it does appear that he had a pretty good day. I know some of the like raw counting numbers are like, oh, he completed like 4 of 8 passes, or like 5 of 10 passes or something, but I do like that you have to add that stipulation that, hey, his top receivers in these practices on the outside are Laquan Treadwell and Ashton doing. And look, I love both these guys. I think they're good, hard workers. I'm not expecting them to beat Sauce Gardner and Mooney Ward on any kind of route, unless they have like a heavy pick in front of them and giving them all the room to operate. So, to see a couple pass breakups go against the Colts offense isn't too surprising. But I like that he was able to complete some passes, get the ball to Tyler Warren a little bit in the practice. And overall, the biggest thing is just him moving in and out of the pocket. And from all people I heard from and talked to today, I mean, Jake Arthur is there, my co-host on Locked On Colts. It seems like he was moving pretty well, and it's kind of even like hard to tell that he's coming off an Achilles injury. Now we'll see when the bullets are really flying and maybe if he plays in the preseason or if not in the regular season, but it's such a great sign that he's already out there and moving, and the velocity seems to be the same, and he looks like Daniel Jones. I mean, the only thing I could really say about all this is like modern medicine is insane. Like to get him back, he was hurt in December. It was early December that he tore his Achilles, and this was an injury that was like career ending not too long ago, and it still has negative effects on position players and stuff like that. So I'm not trying to just downplay Achilles injuries, but it used to be like at least a year-long recovery to get back on the field. He's back out here, 6-7 months into this injury and getting back in the action, and he'll be cleared for week 1, which is like just under the 9-month mark or whatever. It's fascinating just how amazing this modern medicine has been with this Achilles recovery and how Jones has been able to get back from it. So I've always said if he can be like 90% of what he was last year physically, the Colts have a good chance of being, a 27, 28 point per game offense like they were last year. So it's a great sign for the Colts, great sign for this team this next season, and just him being out there and moving like he is right now is absolutely incredible.
Joined by Zach Hicks from Locked On Colts. You can follow my next at Zach Hicks 2. So this is, I don't want to be unfair because, I'm trying to be more positive, Zach. One of my concerns with Daniel Jones coming back so quickly, and I'm with you, it's incredible modern medicine, the way that it's evolved, and it's just allowing him to come back fully cleared 8 months later is really impressive. And this may not be a fair comparison, but when I look at Jason Tatum this previous year, who came back 9 months removed, it is a completely different sport, and the movement patterns aren't really the same either. But in that playoff series against Philly, he ends up, straining his calf again. And then you find out later that his calf muscle was like 80% of the size that it was before he got hurt or something like that. I don't want to see Daniel Jones play in the preseason. I want to keep him wrapped in bubble wrap for as long as possible. That way nothing like this happens. How do you think that the Colts are going to go about keeping him, kind of under wraps until the season actually starts?
Yeah, I think ideally the way that I would approach it is I wouldn't have him playing in the preseason games, but I would have him in the joint practices against the other teams. You get a little bit more protection there. It's not fully live action, but you are like simulating live action in those practices. So you can see how he can move under duress, but it's not like the fear of him taking a hit or just the moment of it being in a real game like it is in those preseason games at least. I think that would be the best middle ground for it. And I understand the concern with just any guy coming off Achilles. I've always been someone who's very concerned about Achilles injuries in general. It's just at the quarterback position, we have such little data on it, and we don't really have many other positions across sports that are similar movement-wise to quarterback. Like maybe a batter in baseball in terms of just the way that they generate momentum, but a quarterback has to move a little bit more laterally than a batter does, right? A batter's being pretty stationary when they're swinging. So we don't really have a lot of data points when it comes to quarterbacks. And the few that we do, all those guys were a lot older than Daniel Jones too. So he's going to be a fascinating case study this year for Achilles injuries and quarterbacks and, the level of optimism and pessimism you could have about it. But again, everything right now is pointing to things trending in the right direction. I'm still cautious about it. I'm sure the Colts are as well. Like when they said they had to hold him back from 11-on-11s in spring training, I think that was probably the right way to go about it. So I'm sure they're going to be cautious with him. I'm sure that they're going to find the best path for him. But I mean, as of right now, everything we've gotten is pretty positive. And I talked to someone who knew a little bit more about the recovery early on, And even from the get-go, it was like he was ahead of schedule and he was really progressing through it all. So as long as that continues, hopefully we can be optimistic this season. But yeah, I'm with you. It's gonna be a cloud over this entire season, like how he moves, how he looks, and how consistent it is. But I can really only go off the information we have now because we don't have so much data points on it. And as of right now, it's looking pretty good. So I'll keep my eye on it. Hopefully he's not out there too much in the preseason if he is out there, and get ready for week 1 against Baltimore.
I'm really curious to see how he looks under center because
Yeah.
that is such a big part of the Colts offense. And when Kirk Cousins came back in Atlanta from his torn Achilles, I remember it being a big deal. They had to modify their offense to run a lot of stuff out of pistol because he just couldn't. Which again, Daniel Jones much younger than Kirk Cousins was at that point. So that is my biggest question. Like, how does he do on like stretch plays, getting out to Jonathan Taylor? How does he do, selling play action? I think that if he looks good doing that, I think a lot of my worries will kind of subside. What is something that you'd like to see him do to make you feel like, all right, like this guy's cool, we're good?
Yeah, I think it really is a lot of the under center and play action stuff because if we look at like the Colts offense last year, I know a lot of things kind of went bad down the stretch last year and obviously led to that losing streak. But if we look at the Colts last year, like the first 10 to 12 weeks of the season, they were one of the greatest rushing offenses in the history of the sport, right? Like they were, and it was just with their running back, right? Like they weren't, it's not like Lamar Jackson's Ravens a couple years ago where they were such a great rushing offense because they had two guys contributing to it. It was all Jonathan Taylor. But they were able to do that because they're able to get under center, because they had such a great play action game. They're able to keep defenses guessing and really holding them at the point of attack to give Taylor the advantages he needed. Whereas when Phillip Rivers came in here, they couldn't go under center. They couldn't do any of that. They had to operate completely out of the gun. And then with Phillip Rivers not really having much of an arm left, teams were able to play single high safety. They're able to keep safeties closer to the line of scrimmage and really stuff that running game. So, the name of the game for success for the Colts is the play action game, the under center game, and making sure that teams have to second guess themselves in run defense. And that just can't be possible with an immobile quarterback. So seeing what Jones looks like on some of those rollout boots, like it doesn't have to be as frequent as what it was early last season, but you still want to have that threat in there. You still want to have that ability to do that. So seeing what that looks like, seeing what, him being able to come out from under center and pitch the ball out on toss plays or like you said, get out on those stretch runs to the outside, like that's going to be the biggest benchmark for me. I'm not too concerned about the arm strength or any of that because he's never really had that strong of an arm anyway, right? Like even if there is a little bit of a drop off in arm strength, you're going from like an above average arm to a slightly less above average arm or maybe an average arm. Like, his strength as a passer was more so how he diagnoses things pre-snap and how he finds his targets quickly. So I don't think that would really affect too much, but how he's able to move in and out of play action, how he's able to get the ball out there in the run game, that's going to be very vital to this Colts offense. And if it's not, then they will have to go to more like pistol and shotgun stuff. And we kind of saw last year when Phillip Rivers came in, that was basically a pass-first offense, like a pass-only offense, essentially. And Taylor was almost completely neutralized by that scheme, which, again, they almost won a couple of those games, so it was the only way they could find success. But I don't think it's going to be very sustainable success if they have to go that route. So, yeah, the first couple of, like, run plays and play-action plays are going to be very vital to really seeing, like, what kind of Daniel Jones we're getting this year.
Joined by Zach Hicks from Locked On Colts. You can check him out on YouTube as well. If you just search for Zach Hicks, his stuff will pop up. If you like 45-minute-long videos on offensive tackles, that is the place for you. And I say that endearingly because I watch offensive tackles and I'm like, the guy didn't get by him. I guess he's good, Chris Ballard, he spoke with the media yesterday. Did he say anything that really jumped out to you?
Nothing in particular. I mean, it's kind of one of his thousands of press conferences we've gotten out of him in his career with the Colts. Talking a little bit about Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I kind of made this joke on yesterday's show, Locked On, that like the potential Jonathan Taylor holdout was such a media manufactured like headline, right? And I say that as a media member that probably contributed to manufacturing that headline because we kind of did a lot of speculation this offseason of like, yeah, if I were Jonathan Taylor, I would strongly consider a holdout because he just had his first healthy season in years and he was one vote away from being an all-pro running back again after, again, he had a couple of down years with the injuries, and you want to capitalize on a big season, especially as you're getting older as a running back. So I think a lot of us in the media were speculating like Taylor should probably hold out. Like, he did it in 2023. It worked for him. He should probably do it again. And the thing is, there's just never really been anything from people like no reports and nothing from Taylor's camp or the Colts camp that was an expectation. But because we live in this like aggregate era and pushing headline era, I think a lot of people got freaked out about the potential of Taylor holding out. So to hear Ballard come out and say like, yeah, we expect Taylor to suit up for practice tomorrow, like we're all good with that. And even Taylor come out today and say like, yeah, we're in a good place with conversations there. I think that was probably the most enlightening thing from the entire press conference was like, yeah, that the holdout's not happening. That was just all speculation. And again, part of it's my fault. I was speculating on it too because I thought it was the right choice for him. But it's better for the Colts for him not to be holding out, and hopefully they can, get something done if that's the way they want to go with it. So I thought that was the most notable thing. Also, I mean, the lip service on the quarterback thing, I'm sure is a big headline from it, but I mean, that you would say that regardless, right? He's still currently on the team. You're not going to go out there and say like, no, we plan on having 2 quarterbacks. Like, you're not going to just say that.
Yeah.
You can't kill the trade value, right? You have to say, oh, we'll keep him. We're not giving him away. Hint, hint, wink, wink, offer me more, right? Like, whether he gets more and what he has to do with that afterwards is the big choice. But I mean, obviously that was what he had to say about quarterbacks. So I didn't really take away anything too crazy from it, but yeah, the Taylor holdout speculation put into an end today was nice at least.
It was, especially when you wake up and the first thing I saw is Adam Schefter being like, Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson are holding out. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
I'm so glad our guy is not. That makes it so much easier. I thought that the headline of the press conference was him saying he would not sign a contract extension if he was offered one.
That was a funny question because, like,
I'm glad someone asked that. Yeah.
Yeah, but any way you answer that, there's no way for it to be like a not weird. It's going to be a weird headline regardless, right? With that question, like, oh, would you sign an extension if it was offered to you? Because, like, let's be honest, of course he would.
Yeah.
Right. Of course he would. But like, that's not the right thing to say right there. He knows how to talk to the media. He's been doing this for a decade at this point, so he knows how to talk to the media. You're not supposed to say that. So, yeah, again, it was a little bit of a lip service because there's, you have to kind of read the truth in between there. Basically, all he was saying with that is like, I'm focused on this year, right? Like, that's essentially the way he answered it, which was smart of him. But yeah, very funny question. Got some good headlines out of it, but I just don't know if that was a winning, if there was a winning solution for him there outside of kind of what he said was, I guess, the best option he took. Could you imagine if he said like, of course I would sign an extension. I want to be here for it. Like, that people would lose their minds, over that stuff.
I don't know. I was kind of waiting on like I would obviously sign one, but we haven't made the playoffs in 6 years, so I'm probably not going to get offered one. That's
right.
Like, if he had said that, I'd be like, all right, like I think that's a good answer.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know.
The problem is, if he would have said that, right, the aggregates would have cut off the second part of that quote, and it would have been, I would obviously sign one, and that's what the whole headlines would say. So I think he played it the best way he could in this era of media that we're in.
That's so funny. Nah, oh jeez. It's just I saw it and I was like, all right, man, like let's move on.
My
else.
sports account or my football account or those MLF football or whatever, it would have been Chris Ballard says he would want an extension. Like that's what it would be as the headline. Like he's smart. He follows those guys on Twitter with his burner somewhere, so he knew how to avoid it.
Chris Ballard on a burner account. That whole idea is so funny. It's just
he has a burner. Look.
Oh yeah.
He has said before in the past that he either has a burner or he uses his kid's Twitter or something. Like he sees stuff on Twitter. I don't know who it is, but he does certainly have a burner somewhere on Twitter.
He is ML football.
Yeah. Yeah, he's ranking in all the money with his clickbait stuff. That's what it is.
No, if Chris Ballard had a burner account, it would just be him being like, Anthony Richardson is such a good teammate. I can't believe nobody else wants this guy.
Breaking news. Great teammate, better arm, trade for him right now. Like, yeah, that's exactly what it would be.
Oh man. Last thing for you, Zach, and I will let you go. Alec Pierce being on the PUP list, not surprising at all. C.J. Allen being on there, a little surprising, but it doesn't seem like too big of a deal. I thought that the biggest news out of that was DeForest Buckner not being on the PUP list. What did you kind of make of all the nonsense that came with that announcement?
Yeah, no, the Colts are giving me heart attacks every single offseason by being so ominous about how they talk about players, just for him not to be on any list to start training. Like,
Yeah.
every time that they asked about DeForest Buckner, it was like, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully he's out there for week 1. And then he's not, like, he's just in a ramp-up period to start training camp. Like, he should be cleared here within, like, well, he's already cleared technically, right? They're just trying to ramp him up, like, condition-wise. Come on, you can't you got to give us a little bit more than that. Like, at least say, like, oh yeah, he's looking good. Like, hopefully we'll see him out there early in training camp. That would have been way more optimistic, but had me talking for the last like 3 months about like how much do we see of DeForest Buckner just for him to show up for the first day of training camp. So clearly we're going to see at least a little bit of him here in training camp. So yeah, I wish they weren't as ominous about it. I know they didn't want to put too much of a timeline on him, but if it was even in the cards that he could be cleared for day 1 of training camp, like, come on, like, give me a little bit there, guys. That was a bit unnecessary heart attack this offseason with that stuff. But yeah, the Colts need a pretty healthy season from Buckner this year if they're going to have production that they need out of their pass rush. So, I really hope that he's able to look like most of DeForest Buckner this season, because then this Colts defense has a chance of being pretty good. But without him, it certainly gets a bit dire. So this is great news for the Colts. And again, hopefully he can look like DeForest Buckner this season.
Yeah, my hope is that he can be good enough to be the first guy that they call when someone inevitably opts out of the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
that would be great. I think that would be a great place for him. So I'm assuming you and Jake will have some stuff out today. I know he does his notebook. I'm assuming you guys will have a show out with talking about Colts camp and stuff later on today. What else is going on for you?
Yeah, we'll be doing shows on every single practice. So individualized shows talking about the sights and sounds from each practice and getting into the nitty gritty with all that. Me on my own, I'm working on like just watching a bunch of Latu stuff, because I think that's a big conversation piece, and just seeing more of where his game's at and if I'm buying this breakout here going into this next season. So a lot of interesting things coming up for the Colts. We'll have a lot of coverage, and I'm just excited for like new football film. I think I've seen every single play of last season like 1,000 times. I'm ready for new film, even if it's the preseason. So a lot of exciting things coming up.
It is, man. It is. Zach, thank you so much for your time, man.
Yep, thanks for having me.
You got it. See ya. That is Zach Hicks. Check him out on X at Zach Hicks2. Go check out his YouTube page, Zach Hicks, and make sure you listen to Locked On Colts as well. He and Jake do a really, really nice job. We were talking about Jonathan Taylor there a little bit. We do have a position battle for who the backup is going to be. We'll talk backup Colts running back in 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Colts camp started today. What a time to be alive, man. Colts camp, Daniel Jones apparently scrambling for first downs. Jonathan Taylor would love to be a Colt for life. All that good stuff going on right now happened earlier today at Colts camp. We also have multiple position battles going on, and one of them being the backup running back spots. Seth McGowan and DJ Giddens, I think, are two interesting players coming into Colts camp. You know, the Colts have said what feels like every year for the last 5 years that they want to reduce Jonathan Taylor's workload. And, you know, it's something that's never really happened. But, you know, it's understandable. It's like owning a classic Ferrari. You love driving it, but you don't want to rack up 30,000 miles a year commuting on the highway. You know, they couldn't do that last year because they didn't have a backup running back that they liked enough to give some of the carries. Maybe this year it'll be different. You know, DJ Giddens barely played for the Colts last year, only appeared in 9 games, had 26 carries for less than 100 yards on the season. They clearly didn't want to play him for some reason. I think it's because he struggled in pass protection. You know, for a young running back, learning to block, you know, NFL linebackers when they're blitzing, it's like trying to stop a freight train with a stop sign. You know, that's where a lot of young running backs struggle. And that's where I think this position battle is going to be decided. Seth McGowan is a 7th-round rookie out of Kentucky. If he can pass protect better than DJ Giddens, then he will get reps on Sundays. Jonathan Taylor is at a point in his career where he's still one of the 5 best running backs in football. The Colts still want to hand him the football, but where they would like to take him off the field is on 3rd and 8, when everyone in the stadium knows that they're throwing the football. Okay, I know that Jonathan Taylor improved as a pass catcher last year, but they want to reduce his wear and tear. That's smart. And that's where DJ Giddens and Seth McGowan come into play and may have an opportunity to insert themselves on Sunday or on Sundays. And it's an important thing. You know, Daniel Jones is coming off of an Achilles tear. Leaving your quarterback unprotected on a blitz after a major surgery, it's like leaving the front door unlocked in a bad neighborhood. You're just inviting bad things to happen to you. Okay, they need someone who they can trust to pick up blitzes when the time comes. That was Jonathan Taylor last year. So not only is he getting hit when he's carrying the football through the hole, but he's also getting blasted when linebackers are blitzing. Can you hear that? Or
I heard it.
Or do I need to go like? Yeah,
that one's better.
I need to like hold it up to my. Okay, I got my own bell now, which is sick. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so they need someone else who can play on 3rd down and pick up blitzes. Okay, I think everything after that ability is going to be secondary in this position battle. Every running back in the NFL is capable of running the football. They all ran for 1 million yards in college. You know, asking an NFL running back to take a handoff and hit a hole is like asking a seasoned chef to boil water. It is second nature. Are you debating a bell there?
There's a little bit of both there, yeah.
Yeah,
There's an
that's
analogy and a bell, like you had a twofer right there.
You know, big fan of twofers, you know?
Twofers are nice, especially on Tuesday, even though today's Wednesday, but.
Twofer Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't know. Could that be a thing during the season? Do we launch a new segment, two for Tuesday?
Sure.
Where we highlight things that you get 2 for 1 with. 2 for 1, sponsored by Old Navy. Buy 2, get 1 pair of jeans free.
That could work.
It could work. All right. Anyway, for this position battle, it's about who can pick up blitzes. Okay, if it's 1st and 10 or 2nd and 7, and there's a possibility that the Colts are going to run the football, they're gonna give it to Jonathan Taylor. Okay, blitz pickups and receiving out of the backfield, I think is what's going to ultimately determine who ends up earning that backup running back positions. If Giddens or McGowan show to have nice hands, I think that'll mean more to this coaching staff than their ability to actually run the football, because that's a skill they'll actually be called to use more often on third downs, where I think they want to get Jonathan Taylor off the field to just reduce some of the wear and tear. Okay, they don't need some like lead singer here. They just need a reliable rhythm guitarist who doesn't miss a beat on third downs. Okay, Jonathan Taylor is going to get the majority of the carries. The Colts just need a backup running back that can pick up the blitzes and catch a couple balls out of the backfield. If Giddens or McGowan can do that, then they'll go find – if they can't do that, then the Colts will just go find someone else who can. Daniel Jones reportedly had a nice day today at Colts camp. We will recap his outing at camp, and we got a little bit of audio from him as well in 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. It's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Daniel Jones back at practice today. Daniel Jones, also the theme of our trivia today for when we give out a pair of Holiday World tickets. We will give those out at 2:00. So here in about 13 minutes, 317-228-1430. That is the number for when we call for Collins for your chance to win a couple of tickets to Holiday World. Here is Daniel Jones talking about being back at practice.
I mean, it definitely was a goal of mine to be back for the first day of training camp. So, there's some satisfaction in that and being back for the first day. But it's still a process. There's still a lot of work to be done personally. With my process and then as a team. So we're just starting out, and it's good to have it's important to have a good first day, but there's a lot of work ahead of us.
Dan Jones right there talking about being back. There's a lot of work ahead of him, and that work will be made a lot easier if no one gets hurt. Shamar Stewart, defensive end of the Cincinnati Bengals, yeah, he's done for the year. There's a grueling video of his knee bending away. It is not supposed to bend on X, and that is the single biggest thing about training camp. It's hard to learn stuff about your team during training camp because you're playing against yourself. So, is your quarterback really good, or is the defense that you're playing against just bad? Is Daniel Jones bad, or is this secondary that he's playing against just really good? And he doesn't have his best wide receiver out there in Alec Pierce with him, right? And so there's constantly a give and take with that, which can make it a little tough to learn stuff about your team during camp. That's why the joint practices for the Colts this year against the Falcons and the Patriots are going to be really important. We're hoping to get Patriots defensive back coach whenever that time comes around, my boy K Rich. Anyway, so hopefully that happens whenever the time comes. But with the injury thing, like that is the single most important thing for the Indianapolis Colts for through this entire training camp and preseason period. Get to week 1 where all 22 of your desired starters for the year are healthy and ready to go. If they get hurt after the season starts, hey, so be it. That's going to happen. Okay, not everyone can be like the Eagles a couple years ago when 21 of their 22 week 1 starters were playing in their first playoff game. Okay, so get to week 1 healthy. That is the single most important thing that the Colts need to do during this entire training camp period. Chris, I don't think I've asked you yet. What is the storyline going into Colts camp that you were most intrigued by?
Most intrigued by, I guess, the return of Daniel Jones. That's an easy one. What the wide receiver room is going to look like, but I'm also kind of keeping my eyes on what's going to happen with AR. It sounds like they're just going to hang on to him, despite the trade possibility still being there. It sounds like he's just going to be a Colt this season.
That's kind of what I'm expecting, and then they'll get that compensatory pick, after the season's over. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I will say, to Anthony Richardson's credit, he's been a good sport about the whole thing, or at least as good of a sport you can be about losing your job and maybe your future career. So that is good on him. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if and when he gets traded. And what he goes for. I would think that his value is day 3 level, like a 4th or a 5th round pick. I feel like is what the Colts would want to move him for. If he went for anything, honestly, if he went for anything more than a 5th round pick, I would be pretty surprised.
So let's say, God forbid, Daniel Jones gets hurt and AR has to run out there in the middle of the season and actually puts on a good run, and we get in a good position to make the playoffs. What do you do with him then? Do you just hang on to him, or do you still?
Well, I don't know what would happen then because the Colts declined his 5th-year option on his contract. So for those who don't know, every first-round pick that you draft They have a 5-year deal with the 5th year being a team option. So that's why there's no such thing as a second-round quarterback. Because if you draft someone in the second round, they only get a 4-year deal. There is no team option on year 5. And so because of that, the Colts have already declined his 5th-year option. So he would hit free agency. And we would just kind of see how things go from there. Yeah. So, but like he also has to beat out Riley Leonard.
True. This is true, but I think that's what it's going to have to take before he gets moved. It's going to have to take some fill-in spots. Somebody gets injured, and he gets a chance to be on a stage and be put in a situation to where teams are like, okay, we may consider it now.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I do think he can do some stuff for his stock during preseason, but at some point, like you have to do it against ones. And then, like when he's out there, he's going to be playing against 2s and 3s, and it's like, oh, you're a former number 4 overall pick who's playing well against guys that were drafted in the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. Like whoop de doo, you know. And so I don't know if that opportunity is going to come for him this year or not. Because I think that Riley Leonard's going to be the backup, even though Anthony Richardson was the one who took all the reps with the 2s today.
Also true. Despite all those facts, that's kind of what sticks out the most to me right now.
So we know that Anthony Richardson played with the 2s today. Do we? Yeah, there we go. That's good. Okay.
The 2 what, Jonathan? I'm just kidding.
Testicles. But does anyone know like how he actually performed? Because everything that I've seen is obviously on Anthony Richardson, and rightfully so. There are some clips of Anthony Richardson like throwing the ball around, which is great. But at the same time, you know, I wouldn't mind knowing like how did he look today against this Colts defense that's got some pretty good players on it. So everything is on Jones, rightfully so. He is the starting quarterback, but you know, if you want Anthony Richardson to get traded, I need some like Anthony Richardson was, you know, 8 of 8 today during 11 on 11s with the 2s. I need something like that, you know. Oh man! All right, 2:00. We are giving away 2 tickets to Holiday World. We will make you do some Daniel Jones trivia. I promise. It's really not that hard. You know, Chris is like, guys. Yeah, there we go. This year, today's trivia has ED. Not that hard. Maybe it gets like a little hard occasionally, but then it becomes really easy again after that.
Okay, that's enough. we get the point.
Oh, you got the point? Oh man, we'll do that coming up at 2:00. But first, Chris, is your sports update.
Jonathan's having fun today. Thanks, Jonathan.
Absolutely.
Here's a few stories that are trending this hour. Of course, Colts took the field at 10 a.m. this morning in Westfield for their first open practice of training camp. Here's what Shane Steichen had to say about opening day.
Well, I was really excited. I was really pleased, really, with day 1 practice. It was really smooth, really no mental errors. You know, it was pretty clean. I thought the guys flew around a lot of plays on both sides of the ball. You know, having Sauce and Mooney back out there together with the ones, those guys are both making plays on day 1, which was awesome to see. Offense made some good plays. JT had some huge runs. Overall, I thought it was really clean.
All eyes, obviously, on Daniel Jones, who took the first team reps and looked fully recovered from his torn Achilles. AR also participated while his active trade request lingers in the background. The Indiana Fever also, they did good. They swept the season series with a win over the Storm last night in Seattle, 105-95. The Fever set an all-time WNBA record for most 100-point games in a single season, so good for them. Caitlin Clark, she had 32 points, 7 assists. Kelsey Mitchell scored 28. And all-star center Aaliyah Boston left the game in the second quarter due to a knee injury and did not return. Her status is currently being evaluated. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show after the break on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430.
Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
It is 2 o'clock, 317-228-1430. That is the number if you want to call in for your chance to win 2 tickets to Holiday World. Chris, do I just call for, like, last call right now? That way someone actually calls in?
Might as well.
Last call.
Last call.
317-228-1430 for your chance to win 2 tickets to Holiday World. Win them. Go twice by yourself. Could be a great time. You know, and if you're self-conscious, like, everyone will think it's weird that I'm there by myself, they won't notice. They won't care. I promise. 317-228-1430 is the number.
I mean, don't be weird about it, though. Like,
yeah, don't be like, hey, kid, you want to get on this ride? Like that. That's good. Yeah, no.
Don't
then
do
people will then everyone will notice and you will be asked to leave. Okay? Did you know? Okay. So Jeff Dye is my favorite comedian. Right,
Yeah.
Currently.
I've heard you talk about him.
He's got this bit where I guess, where is Legoland?
That's in the Mall of America, I believe, in Minnesota. That's where I went to college.
Is
there.
it? Okay. So apparently he tried to go to Legoland, and he walks up and he goes, 1 ticket to Legoland, and they go, do you have any kids with you? And he goes, no, wouldn't ask for 1 ticket if that was the case. And they're like, we don't let single men into Legoland. And they're like, why not? And he was like, they're like, because here at Legoland, we're trying to reduce kidnapping. And, and
could be, yeah.
And then the punchline is like, well, you just increased it because I'm going to kidnap a kid to get in there, you know?
I could be mistaken, but whenever I went to school up in Minnesota, I worked at the Mall of America, and they had a ginormous Lego section. But it could be like Universal Studios, something in Florida too.
Yeah. So I don't know. The whole thing is funny. But in addition to Colts camp starting today, Barry Odom did speak to the media at Big Ten Media Days. Again, 317-228-1430 for your chance to win a couple of tickets to Holiday World. If not, we'll make Chris do the trivia. That's just kind of what usually happens. So I think that you would get a lot of these, though.
I do my best.
It's all Daniel Jones focused. We'll give it a couple more minutes here. But yeah, so Colts camp happened today. Here are just your headliners. Daniel Jones reportedly looked pretty good. This elite secondary looked every bit of elite. Hunter Wohler got the first team reps at safety over A.J. Halsey, which is pretty surprising. Obviously, like, we know that they think very highly of Wohler. If you heard any of the coaches talk about Hunter Wohler last year during training camp, you already knew that was the case. But still a surprise nonetheless, because usually these top 100 picks are guys that you trust to get in there and carry the load for you pretty early on, right? Like, it's why Justin Wally is, the starter at slot corner now. It's because it's like, this guy's a top 100 pick. We know he's coming off of a torn ACL, but he's a guy that we know is going to be part of our core at some point. Let's go ahead and start that now. So those are kind of your big headliners for the day. Chris Ballard, Shane Steichen, a guy who would sign a contract extension if it was offered to him right now. He spoke to the media earlier today. He talked a little bit about DeForest Buckner and their plan for bringing him along to make sure that he's ready to go for week 1, not only in terms of his health, but also conditioning-wise and those kind of things. Here's Colts head coach Chris Ballard.
Yeah, that's a good question. We're going to play that by ear with him. We want to get him to week 1 for sure, obviously. So we'll be smart with him. That'll be a conversation with myself, the trainers, and him, too. It's his body. But we'll come back in individual drills right now and then see where that goes throughout training camp.
Shane Steichen, not Chris Ballard, right there talking about DeForest Buckner and their plan to kind of bring him along slowly, which makes sense, right? We heard Chris Ballard talk about this a little bit yesterday. They were going to bring him along slowly no matter what happened because he's just an older player. And when you're in your 30s and you play defensive tackle and you've been hit and beat on by 300-pound men for the past, decade of your life, takes a bit of a toll on you at some point. So they're going to bring him along slowly, which isn't surprising at all, especially when you consider the fact that he's, coming off of a neck surgery as well that he got back in January. So hopefully he'll be good and ready to go for week 1. It feels like we're saying that way too much with Colts players. It's like, yeah, I hope DeForest Buckner's ready to go week 1, and I hope Alec Pierce is ready to go week 1, and I hope Daniel Jones looks good and he's ready to go week 1. And there's just a lot of injury scares going on right now, and the last thing that the Colts can really afford to have happen is for anyone else to get hurt before the season gets rolling, especially one of those main guys. Again, DeForest Buckner, he's the guy that I think is the most important guy to watch during training camp this year. And, we'll see how he looks whenever he does actually get out there and practice. So, all right, Chris, no one's calling in for Holiday World tickets.
I'm going to Holiday World. I
you
guess.
are? Yeah, I
Yay
guess
me.
so.
I win.
All right, so
Here we go.
for those who if you thought about calling and were like, I don't want to do trivia. I don't want to sound dumb. Well, the trivia today wasn't that hard. You ready, Chris?
I will sound dumb for you.
To be fair, I always say that the trivia isn't very hard. Today's trivia has erectile dysfunction. That's all time. That's an all-time line on the show.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. All right. This pen doesn't work. Golly. Which university did Daniel Jones play college football for under head coach David Cutcliffe? Would you like options?
Yeah, because I don't remember.
You're a Giants fan too, man. Come on now.
I know. I didn't really follow college football.
All right.
So I don't know where he came from.
Is it A, North Carolina?
No.
B, Duke?
No.
C, Wake Forest? Or D, Clemson?
Let me say Wake Forest.
No, he played at Duke.
Oh, man.
No.
All right.
That's really why we're doing the trivia, is because we want to debut our new no sounder, our new incorrect. Shout out Chris Ballard for your press conference yesterday.
I'll gladly get stuff wrong to hear that.
With what pick in the 2019 NFL Draft was Daniel Jones selected by the New York Giants? Do you need options for this?
Yeah.
Is it A, 6th overall, B, 17th overall, C, 38th overall, or D, 81st overall?
Was it 6th?
It was 6th. There you go.
Okay.
That is correct.
There you go. All right. What earned Daniel Jones his viral nickname, Danny Dimes?
Was it, just the short drop-off passes, or did it have something to do with something else?
I'll give it to you. That works. Yeah, it has to do with his ability.
Correct.
With his what?
With his passing ability.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. In 2022, Daniel Jones led the New York Giants to their first playoff victory since Super Bowl 46. Which team did they defeat in the wild card round?
Minnesota.
Correct.
We'll just do a simple ding there. Yeah.
There you go. Which notable athletic feat did Daniel Jones perform during a 2020 game against the Philadelphia Eagles that went viral? Do I need to give you answers for this? Because I remember this pretty well.
A notable feat? Is that what you said?
Which notable athletic feat? So which thing?
Over the Eagles.
All right. As soon as I read the answer, you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that's it."
Sure. Give it to me.
A game-winning 60-yard rushing touchdown with 0 seconds left. Catching a touchdown pass from his wide receiver. A 75-yard left-handed touchdown pass. Or an 80-yard run where he tripped over his own feet right before scoring a touchdown.
Definitely D, for sure.
Yeah, the 80-yard run where he tripped. See, that one wasn't hard.
Yeah.
I told you that trivia had erectile dysfunction.
You tried to trip me up at first with the first one. I was like, I know it was some kind of long run, but it didn't sound like he won the game or something.
Well, look, there were not very many game-winning moments from Daniel Jones during his time in New York.
I remember Sports Center put some circus music behind that replay for a week or so.
Oh yeah, that and the butt fumble, sitting at the top of the Sports Center, not top 10.
Right.
Oh man, that's so funny, man. All right, Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, Indie Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, you can also watch the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indie Sports Ticket app, which you can find wherever you download your apps. And, of course, 14:30 a.m. if you're driving around the Indianapolis area.
Was that all the questions?
Yeah, it's
okay.
It's only 5.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to Holiday World. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah. Oh, man. Dude, Holiday World, though. Great time. What do you think lasts longer? Madison Beer and Justin Herbert's marriage, or Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's?
Probably Justin Herbert's. Theirs looks a little bit more genuine and not so.
They didn't date as long, though.
True, but I don't know. Just from pictures that I've seen, because we have to talk about Madison Beer on our pop station over here. Just on the surface from what we see, like when you see Travis and Taylor, it looks like they're like kind of faking it sometimes. So,
yeah, I guess I don't pay that much attention to it, so I will defer to you on that one.
What do you think?
I don't know. Probably Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. I think that they actually do legitimately like each other, which is good if you're going to get married. I would say it's the first thing that should happen.
Oh, they
you
just
should both like each other.
They have money to spend and wanted to have the biggest wedding ever inside of MSG,
Madison Square Garden. Insane stuff from them. That's like the last place I would want to get married. Just saying.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't go for that either.
Yeah.
Like in the Indiana sense, would you ever get married in Gainbridge Fieldhouse?
No. Well, maybe, actually.
Yeah?
It would depend. I'd be like, all right, we can get married at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, but we have to set out the Pacers court, and you have to let me play fives with my buddies.
Yeah.
If we're doing it, like, you have to let me play basketball.
That's fair.
while we're in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
See
man.
you doing that?
Maybe one day. All right. I do believe that for Colts camp this year, the most important position battle at Colts training camp is the battle between Key and Tuimoloau. If the Colts are having to play Gums and Curry, 2 day 3 picks, at edge because, these two guys, Key and Tuimoloau, aren't good enough, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be like trying to hold off a charging bull with a paper plate. And you can go ahead and fire Chris Ballard now if we're having to rely on 2 day 3 pick rookies to hold down the fort.
That's a hell of an analogy, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a strong one.
Thank you.
All right.
I try.
Good job.
Thank you. But you said it was a strong one. I had like all these erectile dysfunction jokes come like flooding to my brain.
You need to change your thinking today, man.
Oh man. I mean, I don't know. We're laughing a lot right now. Oh man. All right. Anyway, both of those players need to be good this year because there are two kinds of position battles that you see. In one, you struggle to pick a starter because neither of them wow you. In the other, you struggle to pick a starter because they're both playing well. The Colts need the latter, obviously, but I don't think that they're getting that. I think that this is going to be a battle of what's been the headliner of the Chris Ballard era here with the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, this isn't two heavyweight fighters going toe-to-toe for a belt. This is a battle of mediocrity, like picking between two off-brand cereals that have both gone slightly stale. You like that one? That one's good.
I like that one, too.
Okay, Arden Key is probably going to look like what he's been his entire career, a rotational pass rusher. And Jalen Tuimoloau will look like a second-round pick, doing everything he can to make his NFL dream fully come true. Because no one dreams of getting drafted than flaking out of the league 4 years later. Okay, it's like buying a brand-new sports car just to let it rust out in the driveway. But that's the trajectory that he's on right now. With that being said, I do think that Jalen Tuimoloau is going to take the starting role for the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, when you have two even players, general managers and coaches tend to go with the guy that you took in the second round. It makes everyone feel better about your pick. You can also, hide behind the excuse of like, oh, well, he didn't play last year because Sampson, Abukum, and Tyquan Lewis were still around. Well, those guys were so good, you decided not to bring them back. And Tyquan Lewis is so good, he's still not on an NFL roster. So I don't know about that. Here's another reason why I think Jalen Tuimoloau will technically be listed as the starter. I don't know if Arden Key is going to defend the run well enough. I think that this is going to be a thing where Tuimoloau is the starter, but Arden Key is coming in on third downs to help get after the passer. Like he was a rotational pass rusher for the Titans every year of his career. So he has some ability to get after the passer and cause some disruption in opposing offenses in that way. Because of these two guys, I think that's best case scenario. One is your rundown defensive end, probably Jalen Tuimoloau, bigger player, theoretically should be stronger as well, just given the extra size that he has. And then the other is your pass rushing defensive end. So instead of getting a Swiss Army knife that can handle every job in the field, like a Leatu Latu or a DeForest Buckner, the Colts are trying to tape two broken tools together, and they hope that they don't snap. Okay, I don't think that you're going to have a guy who can play all three downs opposite of Leatu Latu. I don't think Tuimoloau is a good enough pass rusher for that. And Arden Key wasn't really asked to defend the run very often in Nashville, and I'm sure that there was a reason for that. Now, all defenses work on rotations, okay? Like if you're a defensive lineman, you're not playing all 75 snaps in a game, okay? Like you're not doing that. The problem is what the Colts defense is going to look like when Leatu Latu comes off. And it's Tuimoloau and Arden Key out there together. One guy hasn't shown that he's capable of rushing the passer or really doing much of anything. The other guy has a career of only rushing the passer. Can Arden Key defend the run opposite of Tuimoloau or Latu? Can Tuimoloau get after the passer if he's on the field and it's him and Arden Key? This can become an issue. Now, the hope in all this is Jalen Tuimoloau comes back, he turns it into a stud, and we don't have to worry about any of this. I doubt that happens, though, given the Chris Ballard history of drafting edge rushers. I think that your best hope is Tuimoloau is a guy who can stop the run, and Arden Key is your third down and 2-minute drill guy who can get after the passer. Okay? So, again, I don't think Tuimoloau is going to turn into our savior, just given the history of Ballard. Expecting Ballard's track record with draft night pass rushers to suddenly turn into gold. It's like waiting for snow in July. It's not going to come. Oof. There we go.
Both of them.
Both of what?
The analogy and the bell.
No. I gave you an opportunity,
okay.
and you didn't take it.
You're rescinding the bell?
No. I said both of what? And you said both the bell and the chirp.
Yeah.
You say both of what?
Both of what?
Both of these nuts. I just the opportunity was there for you, and you didn't take it. Oh man, a lot of bell dings today. A lot of bell dings today. All right. Oh man. So again, Colts camp going on. We'll have more audio tomorrow when the Colts get back out to practice. Can't wait to say it. Oh man, we have video of Daniel Jones throwing the football. Just give the Colts the Lombardi now. Him and Tyler Warren finding a special connection over the middle of the field. Ignore the fact that, Tyler Warren had to jump for it. And in a real football game, he probably would have gotten absolutely crushed. But what a tight spiral from the Colts starting quarterback, Daniel Jones. All right, we will talk more Colts camp. Anthony Richardson, is he going to get traded? We'll see. We'll talk about that in 3 minutes.
Sports Ticket app.
Colts camp is in full swing right about now. I forgot what I teased. We're talking about the show for tomorrow, and I just completely forgot. Chris, do you remember what I said before the break? Never mind. I remember. Anthony Richardson. It just took me a second. You know, it happens sometimes.
Yes, you get 2 bells for that. That's good.
Oh man. Oh jeez. Sometimes
I think we've all said that once in our life.
yeah. Oh jeez. All right. The Colts still have Anthony Richardson on their roster. He got all the reps with the twos today. Shane Steichen speaking to the media earlier today, talking about how they are going to split reps, and they're going to split them pretty evenly. Riley Leonard should get all the reps tomorrow with the twos as they continue to battle for who the backup quarterback is going to be. Hopefully this is something that just settles itself and Anthony Richardson gets traded before the start of the season. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think Chris Ballard is a little bit too hard-headed for that. Listen to this clip of Chris Ballard yesterday during his press conference talking about the quarterback room and the idea of potentially trading Anthony Richardson.
It is, but I think they're realistic and we're realistic. You know, we're not just giving him away. I'm not going to do that. And it's been fun to watch. Like, I think I've told y'all this multiple times. Like, one of the things that gets washed over sometimes with Anthony, like, he is a great teammate. And he's fun to be around, and he has really grown and worked. It's been fun to watch. I mean, especially when you take a guy as high as we took him, you want him to come in and be the savior right away. Well, everybody's developmental plan's different. And, his was a little different. I still think that he has got a future. We'll see how that plays out here.
So Chris Ballard in that clip there saying that the Colts don't just want to give him away. I understand that, but he is a failed 4th overall pick. Holding on to him right now is like keeping a luxury sports car parked in your driveway that has a blown engine. Doesn't matter how much you paid for it off the lot. Nobody's going to pay you brand new sticker price for a frame that won't run. I mean, Gardner Minshew looked better in Shane Steichen's offense than Anthony Richardson has. And he's almost out of the league. Okay, he's going to be the 3rd-string quarterback in Arizona this year. Hard to find a worse situation than that. Okay, you're not getting a day 2 pick for Anthony Richardson. I think your best hope is a 4th-round pick. If you get anything better than a 6th, though, I would be surprised. Like, at some point, you just have to accept that things didn't go your way. It's like sitting at a poker table after a bad flop. You've already put your chips in, but staying in the hand just out of pride is only going to cost you more money. Okay, nothing is going to happen this year that could drastically increase his trade value. And he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. If a team trades for him, they're not doing it with the idea of playing him this year. Wherever he ends up, he's probably going to be a backup. They're all probably content. The team's interested in Anthony Richardson. They're all probably content to wait until he's a free agent to try to sign him. And why give up an asset when you don't have to? The fact that Anthony Richardson is in the final year of his deal and he's going to, at best be the backup quarterback, I think he's more likely to be the 3rd-string quarterback. That removes a lot of the leverage that the Colts could have in trade negotiations. It's like trying to sell a gallon of milk at full price the day before it's set to expire. Okay, everyone buying it knows that if they just wait 24 hours, and if these teams just wait until the offseason, like, you're going to have to throw it out anyway. Okay, if it wasn't going to be, or if it was 2 years before Anthony Richardson was going to hit the open market, then, the Colts could probably hold firm and get a better offer than what they're currently getting right now. But that's not the case. Well, Jonathan, what if Anthony Richardson plays really well during the preseason? Sure, yeah, that'd be great. And maybe some good preseason play from Anthony Richardson could increase his draft stock a little bit. But even if he does play well in the preseason, teams aren't all of a sudden going to be like, banging on the Colts' door, being like, we will give you a 2nd-round pick for Anthony Richardson. That's not going to happen. He could throw for 1,000 yards in a preseason game. I don't think that would really move the needle at all. Okay, you're going to get a day 3 pick no matter what happens for Anthony Richardson. And I think that if the Colts get offered an early day 3 pick, they should take it. Because if Anthony Richardson leaves in free agency, then the Colts will receive a compensatory draft pick. It'll be a 5th or 6th round pick. I believe if they're offered a 4th or 5th round pick, they should just go ahead, accept it, and move on. Because at some point, you just have to bite the bullet and say, you know what? I messed up. It's part of being a general manager in sports. Okay, sometimes you're going to draft players and you're going to get it wrong. It's the only parallel that I can draw between being a GM and being a broadcaster. Sometimes you have takes and they're just wrong, and you have to deal with it, and then you move on. It's the same thing with being a GM. Sometimes you take a guy, he doesn't pan out for reason X, Y, or Z, and you just got to move on sometimes. Because the offers, I think, for Anthony Richardson are only going to get worse. Like when you're at the trade deadline and everyone knows you want to at least get something for him, like those offers are going to decline. 4th round picks turn into 5th round picks and so on. Like his trade value isn't fine wine where the longer you have it, the more valuable it becomes. It's a melting ice cube. Yes, you could get a compensatory draft pick if you let him walk in free agency. But is that worth an unhappy Anthony Richardson on your team all year? Look, he's a good teammate. We heard Chris Ballard say that. Okay, it doesn't seem like he's ruffling any feathers. Looks like he's trying to get better. But you never know when guys are going to sour. Like, do you really think that the 49ers expected all this nonsense from Brandon Ayuk? I would argue that they didn't. Admit defeat. Sometimes you're wrong. It happens. It's part of being a general manager. Okay, Anthony Richardson didn't pan out the way that the Colts wanted him to. Part of the deal. Most quarterbacks don't pan out. If you look at the history of it since the year 2000, okay, about half of the first-round quarterbacks that get drafted wind up being busts. About 25% of them end up being like solid everyday starters, and the other 25% go on to be absolute superstars. Okay? It happens. It's part of it. I know that in the clip, he says that he thinks that Anthony Richardson has a future in this league. He kind of has to say that. If that's really what he thought, he wouldn't be trying to trade Anthony Richardson right now. Okay? And look, maybe Anthony Richardson does have a future in the league, and he's the next Sam Darnold who's going to, go to 4 different teams, and all of a sudden he's going to wind up on a really good one, and he's going to win a Super Bowl. Maybe that's what happens. I don't think that's what's going to happen, though. Okay? Bite the bullet. Move on. Move him before his market dries up.
What do you think happens first? Anthony Richardson injury in training camp or another Colts player in training camp?
Gets hurt?
Yeah.
Another Colts player, because Anthony Richardson's in the red "Don't Touch Me" jersey.
Yeah.
I believe they removed all bands from the premises.
I was going to say.
I don't think we have to worry about that.
I mean, he's known to injure himself.
Yeah, that dancing. I don't think he's on TikTok anymore. I don't think he's like dancing in his own rap videos anymore. I don't think any of that is actively going on. So I think he'll be fine. There's a clip of Daniel Jones talking about his mobility. Oh man, Matt Taylor may have it. But if we could find that and play it, because I would like to hear him talk a little bit about, just how he feels. Like I get it, he's fully cleared, but just because you're fully cleared doesn't necessarily mean that you're 100%. Like for example, Jason Tatum was cleared to return to basketball activities, and he got hurt not very long after. So just because you're cleared doesn't necessarily mean that you're at 100%. It's Matt Taylor who's got it. I know his audio hasn't been great, but Daniel Jones on his level of confidence and his mobility at the beginning of camp is what you're looking for. Because this is, the biggest thing around the Colts this year. How does Daniel Jones move? Does he move confidently? All those things. You got it. Okay, here is Daniel Jones talking about his confidence and his mobility at the start of training camp.
definitely was a goal of mine to get back to the first day of training camp. So, there's some satisfaction in that and getting back for the first day. But it's still a process. There's still a lot of work to be done personally. With my process, and then
We'll go to break here.
We're just starting out.
Whoopsie. I don't think that's the audio that we're looking for. We will play it for you here in about 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Daniel Jones spoke to the media today after practice about how he feels about his mobility after being fully cleared for all football activities. Here is Colts starting quarterback Daniel Jones.
You didn't have confidence that you did again or not? Yeah, I think have confidence in it. It's not a lack of confidence necessarily. I think it's just building the strength back. Building repetition, getting your body used to doing it again. And so every time you do it, you get more and more. You get a little stronger, a little better, a little more used to it. So, like I said, I'll continue to do that over this training camp, over the 6-week period.
Daniel Jones right there talking about just having the confidence in his mobility, him, giving the right answer. It's like, it's about the repetition and building strength back in it and all those kind of things. I feel like every time you do it, you feel a little bit better about it. And that's pretty normal whenever it comes to rehab and getting to it. And that is the biggest thing for him and the Colts during this offseason period. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show, by the way. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM. The most important thing is for Daniel Jones to have full confidence going into the season with his Achilles. If he's out there and he's hesitant or he's quick to not really give a play an opportunity because he doesn't want to have to scramble around and get away, you don't want this to turn into an Aaron Rodgers-like situation where, Aaron Rodgers now, he would rather throw the football away than even take a chance to get hit. And look, he's in his 40s, so it is different. But at the same time, when you have an injury like this and you don't want to go through 8 months of rehab again, because who in the right mind would ever want to do that? Like, sometimes it can cause you to play a little bit more timid, or it can cause you to play a little bit too quickly, right? It can cause you to not panic, but like if you need, it can cause you just to play a little bit quicker because you're worried about being hit. And that has to be that is more of a mental hurdle than anything else. Because like physically, like he's cleared to play, he's good to go. Obviously, strength still needs to be built in the calf and all those things. But the medical staff clearly thinks that he's at a point where he is beyond the risk of re-injuring it by doing normal football activities. Okay, but does he have faith in that? Does he have faith in his Achilles and that it's going to hold up? Okay, it is one of the most important things going into this next Indianapolis Colts season. I hope he's good to go. I hope he's ready to go. I want him to be really good this year, right? I know I've come off as a bit of a hater and a bit negative, but like I do want the Colts to win games. Like that is the best thing for the show, and I'll root for the show over everything else. So like, I want Daniel Jones to come out and be at the MVP level that he was at there for a few weeks with the Indianapolis Colts this year. And I want us to have debates on the show of like, is Daniel Jones or Jonathan Taylor more important to this offense? That's what I want. I want another 8-0 start that's not ruined by Daniel Jones tearing his Achilles. But the only way that we're going to get that is if he has full confidence in his Achilles and in his mobility at the start of the season and throughout the course of the season. I think it's one of those things where once he plays, 3 or 4 games, he'll feel good about it as long as he doesn't get nicked up there in that little stretch. He just needs to get through, I think, 3 or 4 games unscathed, and I think that he'll feel good about it from there. The question is just, what is he going to look like early in the season? That week 1 matchup against Trey Hendrickson and this Baltimore Ravens defense that is absolutely going to get after him. You've got Jesse Minter on the opposing sideline. He was one of the best defensive coordinators in football last year. They have a lot of talent over on that Ravens sideline as well. How does he look in that game? I think we're going to get a lot of answers that we're looking for week 1 when the Colts play the Ravens. I hope it goes well. I hope it goes well. We'll see if it actually will or not. But very intrigued by how Daniel Jones looks. He apparently looked really good today without his best receiver against what should be a pretty elite secondary. And, last year when you watched the Indianapolis Colts, I didn't think that they did a great job of. I didn't think that they did a great job of winning ugly games, and I think that that's kind of been a bit of a trend under Shane Steichen. Like when the offense is rolling, they're pretty good. They seem to win a lot of games, but when the offense isn't rolling, that has been an issue that they've kind of run into. Like the Colts are 3-17 in games where they score 20 points or fewer. And over the course of an NFL season, like you're going to run into teams that just have your number defensively. You're going to have days where things aren't clicking the way that they need to. And on those days, you need for your defense to be great. That is what you need. And when it comes to the Colts, the secondary I do think is going to be great. Whether it's Halsey or Wohler playing strong safety alongside Cam Bynum, Javarius Ward, and Sauce Gardner, whoever it is. I don't really think that it's going to matter all that much. Justin Wally obviously playing in the nickel. Can this defense find a way to win ugly games? Can they force a turnover when this Colts offense desperately needs it? Can they, force a big 3-and-out when this Colts offense, drives it the length of the field and they go for it on 4th and goal from inside the 5 and they don't get it? Can the Colts defense force, a 3-and-out in that spot so that they can hold field position and win that aspect of the game? Can they do those things? Because these are things during Shane Steichen's time as the Colts head coach that they haven't really been able to do. And part of that has been a talent issue. They haven't really had the players to do that. And look, offense, you can scheme things into existence. You can scheme players open. You can make life easier on your quarterback. Okay? I think it's easier to elevate average offensive talent than it is average defensive talent. Because in the NFL, like the offense dictates terms. Like when the Rams come out in 13 personnel, it's like, we better get heavy out there or we are in trouble. And so because of that, it's tougher to elevate average defensive talent, and calling the Colts defense talent-wise the last 2 years average is me being very kind, I think. This year, I don't think that's the case. They have like legitimate talent. Like Javarius Ward and Sauce Gardner, that's one of the 5 best cornerback duos in the NFL. Cam Bynum's a really good safety. Okay, Halsey or Wohler, whoever it winds up being, like Halsey's the top 100 pick. Hunter Wohler's a guy that the Colts seem to really like. Okay, so it seems like that, like they're going to have a good player at that position. C.J. Allen is a second-round linebacker out of Georgia. Like he should be incredibly talented and ready to go during that game as well, or during the games as well. And so, like that's half of your defense right there that I think has more talent this year compared to last year between the secondary and C.J. Allen starting at middle linebacker over a guy in Zaire Franklin who did his best. We'll just leave it at that. The question, of course, is going to come down to this, defensive line. Can they get after the passer? Can they stress them? Or is this going to be a thing where the Colts have to rely on coverage sacks more than anything else? That's a really hard thing to rely on. It's nice sometimes when it's 3rd and 9 and your edge rusher wins in like half a second. And just from the jump, the play has no chance because that player was awesome. And that is the hope for Leatu Latu this year. The hope is for him to be that guy. For him to be a guy that on, 1st and 10 in the 2-minute drill, opposing team has an opportunity to march down the field and win the game. The hope is that Leatu Latu can become a guy who once or twice in a game can win in under a second and just immediately send the opposing team's offense into a frenzy. Can they do that? Can they win ugly games this year? It is, I think, going to be a pretty defining part of the Colts season because Daniel Jones is coming off of an Achilles injury. And I don't think the Colts are going to start 8-0 this year, led by an offense that looks like the best offense we've seen since the 2007 New England Patriots with Tom Brady and Randy Moss. I don't think that that's going to happen again this year. So this defense is going to have to find a way. This is where I really like Lou Anarumo because he's going to make things hard on opposing offenses. Thank you. And so that is where we're at with the Indianapolis Colts this season. Now that football's here, I'm having to temper my excitement, but I still think this is a 7-10 team. But if they can stay healthy, as you know, the Bengals have Shamar Stewart go down. He got carted off today. The Panthers had another guy get hurt. Starting defensive tackle for the Saints might have torn his ACL. The Colts can just stay healthy. They're going to have a chance because that is always the most important thing in any season. If you can stay away from the injury bug, then you're probably going to be okay. Chris, what's up?
I have a dumb question.
Sweet. Love dumb questions.
What took Patrick Mahomes out last season?
He tore his ACL.
Okay, so he returned to camp today with no restricted jersey where people don't have to not touch him. What's the difference between him
He's not in a don't touch me jersey. No way.
Correct.
There's no way that they're letting.
He was a full participant on first team reps.
Oh, yeah, that's not the same thing. I promise he was in a different color jersey so that people couldn't hit him.
No, man, look it up. I'm telling you.
They're not letting, Chris, they're not letting the defensive players for the Chiefs hit Patrick Mahomes.
Well,
I promise they're not.
I don't think they're hitting each other yet, but what's the difference in the – I told you it was a dumb question. What's the difference in whatever's going on today to where Daniel Jones can't be touched as opposed to regular practice? You know what I mean?
They may not be in pads or something. It's pretty customary for every practice. You're not allowed to hit the quarterback, no matter who they are.
Okay. Well, that was misleading then.
Yeah.
Because it's been on SportsCenter. It's been in my news feed. I'm like, well, I know he missed some time last season too. Does that make him just tougher than Daniel Jones? But you're just saying they're on the same level.
Mahomes is out there, no pads. Yeah, you guys go ahead and. What do you mean? He's in a yellow jersey. Everyone else is in red or white.
Okay. My mistake.
Yeah. No, all good. Oh man, him ripping balls right there. Jeez Louise. All right, Chris. What did we learn today on the Real Jonathan Smith Show?
All right, class. What did we learn today?
We learned I got some pretty dumb questions.
I guess.
But we do know that the analogies and the subliminal message buttons definitely got to work out today.
Absolutely.
There you go. This has been the It's Not Supposed to Been That Way edition of the Real Jonathan Smith Show. And today we learned that to lower the amount of kidnapping at Legoland, they do not sell single tickets to men trying to enter without children.
That's right.
That's funny to me.
So funny.
Visiting Legoland by yourself as an adult male will make you famous and probably make you a feature in a PSA spoken by Larry Bird.
That's good.
We learned that Jonathan's brain is dominantly filled with sports knowledge, but the rest is full of ED jokes.
Okay.
And I learned that I like Chris Ballard's press conferences better than his ability to manage a team. That's a given.
What do you like about his press conferences?
Well, I don't know. They're just entertaining to me now because he's like,
Now.
But I was kind of halfway through writing this. Did you win or learn anything today, man? It's been a day for me.
It has been a day. Sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. I'm trying to send Jack these timestamps. Now, what did I learn today? That's a great question. I learned that you're colorblind.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, couldn't see that Mahomes was in a yellow jersey. What else did we learn today? We learned. We learned that Daniel Jones is apparently totally fine, and he's going to win the MVP. And that's kind of that. We learned that the biggest thing for the Colts this year is not to end up like all these other teams who are having guys go down with catastrophic injuries
on day
one of training camp.
Right.
Like what a gut punch. Bengals fans are coming into the year like, Super Bowl maybe, you know? And then it's like, oh, no, our starting edge rusher that we took in the first round last year is going to be out for the year because his knee shouldn't bend that way.
Right. Psych.
No.
You know. By the way,
No.
you said this is the that shouldn't bend that way version of the real Jonathan Smith show?
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. That was a strong bell.
I put it by the. It probably should be like.
Yeah, that bell had
That's
some
probably
aggression
better.
behind it, man. Are you
It did,
frustrated
man.
today?
No, I'm not. I just wanted it to go out over the air. My
Okay.
bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
All right.
All right. Like that one. Like that
Cool.
one. One day maybe. We'll see. We'll see. All right. That'll do it here on the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM. If you'll do us a favor, go subscribe on YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you search for Ticket 1430 as well, it should pop up. And that'll do it here on the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. No matter how you tuned in, we will talk to you tomorrow starting at noon. More stuff on the Colts and their training camp, training camp practices. We'll have Armando Salguero join the show as well to talk NFL training camps across the league. Talk to you tomorrow starting at noon.
No. No.